berjalan, memilih tanpa keraguan. Hidup ini aku yang tentukan. Kita berlari bersama ke depan. Kita berlari bersama ke depan. Kita berlari bersama ke depan. Kita berlari bersama ke depan.
In a world where digital can be the difference between surviving and not, brands need the flexibility and control to deliver and evolve customer engagements rapidly. Customers today expect personalized experiences that align with their in-the-moment needs. With Sitecore Experience Platform 10, brands have everything they need to meet these expectations by swiftly launching and evolving memorable digital experiences. A fully integrated solution, Sitecore XP10 is the leading platform that creates efficiencies for both marketing and IT, enabling the collaboration that drives success. The introduction of Sitecore containers increases efficiency in solution and team onboarding and enables infrastructure as code deployments. Delivery teams can now easily move to a continuous delivery model. Sitecore XP10's powerful data capabilities and out-of-the-box connectors empower teams to aggregate customer and content interaction data, turning insight into action that drives personalized engagements and results. By deploying on the scalable, secure, and reliable Microsoft Cloud, teams can speed time to market and lower total cost of ownership. Front-end developers will appreciate how quickly they can build headless and hybrid headless experiences with headless options such as Sitecore JavaScript SDK and a new ASP.NET Core SDK. With a next-generation editing experience, exciting new options for solutions delivery, and everything marketers need to deploy data-informed updates, Sitecore XP10 is the most powerful digital experience platform on the market today. Discover the platform designed to help you deliver the experiences that create human connections with your brand.
berjalan, memilih tanpa keraguan. Hidup ini aku yang tentukan. Kita berlari bersama ke depan. 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 Nothing can stop me. Nothing can stop me. Nothing can stop me. Kita berlari bersama ke depan. Kita berlari bersama ke depan.
In a world where digital can be the difference between surviving and not, brands need the flexibility and control to deliver and evolve customer engagements rapidly. Customers today expect personalized experiences that align with their in-the-moment needs. With Sitecore Experience Platform 10, brands have everything they need to meet these expectations by swiftly launching and evolving memorable digital experiences. A fully integrated solution, Sitecore XP10 is the leading platform that creates efficiencies for both marketing and IT, enabling the collaboration that drives success. The introduction of Sitecore containers increases efficiency in solution and team onboarding and enables infrastructure as code deployments. Delivery teams can now easily move to a continuous delivery model. Sitecore XP10's powerful data capabilities and out-of-the-box connectors empower teams to aggregate customer and content interaction data, turning insight into action that drives personalized engagements and results. By deploying on the scalable, secure, and reliable Microsoft Cloud, teams can speed time to market and lower total cost of ownership. Front-end developers will appreciate how quickly they can build headless and hybrid headless experiences with headless options such as Sitecore JavaScript SDK and a new ASP.NET Core SDK. With a next-generation editing experience, exciting new options for solutions delivery, and everything marketers need to deploy data-informed updates, Sitecore XP10 is the most powerful digital experience platform on the market today. Discover the platform designed to help you deliver the experiences that create human connections with your brand.
This is Mr. SMS, our old buddy. He is very concise. He loves being specific. And of course, he is a hopeless romantic. All in all, a nice guy. One day, somebody gave him a job in the bank. But this guy has a short memory. He keeps forgetting payment details. He only delivers one code at a time, one message, one transaction. And he is constantly being late. And if he is far away, he may not even make it to the recipient. Well, never mind. We all have come to terms with it. Yet there are some serious issues. Firstly, he is careless. If someone uses a proxy to reissue a customer's SIM card, he starts going the wrong way, and so does all the money. It is the same with fake websites. A fake link makes us think we are on the bank's website, while what we are in fact doing is handing our money to cyber criminals. Secondly, he is trusting. A call from cyber criminals who introduce themselves as a bank security team and ask to read aloud the codes from SMS, and there you are, dictating the code and ending up with no money. Well, intercepting an SMS on its way to your phone is a piece of cake, not to mention the Trojan malware in your phone. Long story short, Mr. SMS had better not work in the bank, especially when PayConfirm has an alternative, reliable solution. It is secure. Transactions are signed on your phone. Nothing is passed between you and the bank, so there is nothing to intercept. PayConfirm employs a code that is linked to the transaction details and timing, client private code, and unique smartphone profile. Even if the con man manages to get the code, they won't be able to use it. All the transaction details are displayed on the screen, so any change reveals itself immediately. It is convenient indeed. You can read through the document and confirm the transaction with one finger. Moreover, Pay Confirm is available offline, just in case your phone is out of coverage. So let us use professional tools instead, and leave Mr. SMS to go about his business.
Aku terus berjalan, memilih tanpa keraguan. Hidup ini aku yang tentukan. Kita berlari bersama ke depan. 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 Nothing can stop me. Nothing can stop me. Nothing can stop me. Kita berlari bersama ke depan. Kita berlari bersama ke depan.
Hello everyone, good morning, greetings, welcome to the International Digital Banking webinar, How to Create Customer Experience, Secure Contactless and Risk Management in the Bank 4.0 era. I'm Tika Kwen, your host for next few hours. How are you everyone? Hope you're always in good health. It's because of God's presence that we can attend this event this morning. This event by Digital Banking Institute. Now, I wish to welcome and greet our honorable speakers today, Mr. Abdy Dharma Salimin, Director of Technology and Operation at Permata Bank, Mr. Auzani Ridzwan, Lead Sales Engineer at Sitecore, Mr. Leonard Chong, VP of Business Development APG at Airome, Mr. Bambang Setiawan, Chief of Digital Banking DBI, and Mr. Bari Arijono, Executive Chairman of DBI. Follow us at social media at Digital Banking Institute or visit our website www.digitalbanking.id. As encouragement this morning, several lucky participants will win a door prize. So make sure to follow this event until the end, everyone. So during the pandemic, don't you feel that we are getting more attached to the digital world? For instance, we were less active on social media before the pandemic, but now we have become very active. We're not the only ones transforming. Are you aware that some sectors that is shifting into digital means? Banking sector is one of them. Digitalization is blessing for the banking industry because it makes bank more efficient and transparent. Banks are required to create new customer experience that are reliable and secure to meet their needs. Building customer experience is an important part of marketing strategy because experience is the fundamental stage on win the customer heart. Not only that, one of the current service qualities for transaction is secure contactless. Secure contactless is able to protect transaction data so that card device doesn't need to be separated from users to reduce misplacement or duplication risk. It also provides protection, preventing double transaction deduction when cards are accidentally read twice. By implementing risk management that is in line with the regulation and good corporate governance principle, bank can successfully navigate the era of digital disruption and the COVID-19 era new normal. So before we hear the presentation for our speakers today, we will hear the welcoming speech from Mr. Bari Arijono, Executive Chairman of DBI. The time and place is yours, Mr. Bari.
All right, thank you, Vika Kun. Good morning, everybody. Selamat pagi, Bapak Ibu semuanya. Selamat datang di International Webinar Digital Banking kepada para narasumber yang sudah hadir pada hari ini. Izinkan saya untuk berbahasa Indonesia terlebih dahulu sebelum menyampaikan welcome speech-nya kepada Bapak Abdy Salimin selaku Direktur IT dan Operation Bank Permata. Terima kasih sudah berkenan hadir, Pak Abdy.
Selamat pagi, terima kasih.
Terima kasih Pak Abdy sudah bergabung. And I would like to say thank you to my partner Leonard Chong from Airome. Good morning, Leonard.
Good morning, selamat pagi.
Selamat pagi juga dari Singapura. And Auzani Ridzwan, my partner also from Malaysia. Selamat pagi Malaysia.
Selamat pagi. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Auzani, for your times joining us as speakers today. And last but not least, to my best partner, Bapak Bambang Setiawan. Bapak Bambang Setiawan, selamat pagi. Oke, baik Bapak Ibu sekalian, di hari yang sangat cerah ini, saya ingin menyampaikan beberapa hal menyangkut webinar kita pada kesempatan yang sangat baik ini. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to the digital banking webinar this morning. Thank you to all speakers for taking the time to share your experience in building a digital banking ecosystem in your respective companies. Digital Bank Institute, or we call it DBI, is a consulting company, training providers, and also solution provider for digital banking innovation in partnership with Open Enterprise, owned by Brad King from United States, which in early 2010 has succeeded in becoming one of the first digital banks in the world. Until now, Movement is doing pivoting business to become an enterprise provider of digital banking software that has been used by many banks in the world, one of which is BCA Bank in Indonesia. And Movement is the only company to have a patent on financial wellness technology in United States. In addition, we continue our partnership to strengthen the digital ecosystem banking system by partnering with Airome Technology, as well-known Singapore-based company, provide secure client-server software right in our mobile device, data security through the Pay Confirm platform. And Sitecore is a customer experience management company that provides web content management and multi-channel marketing automation software. Sitecore was founded in 2001 in Denmark, that today here for you. And ladies and gentlemen, we are very well aware that the digitalization of the banking sector is happening right now. Every bank is competing to provide digital services that are easily accessible to the public to increase financial inclusion, where our country, Indonesia, is still far behind our neighborhood, Singapore and Malaysia. So we aware of the emergence of the new risk in the banking 4.0 era, that we must be able to mitigate the risk while promoting GRC, governance, risk, compliance at low cost. I hope that through this webinar, we will all gain new knowledge and experience on how banking should carry out customer-oriented digital transformations. And I'm proud that Abdy, as a Director of Technology and Operation of Permata Bank, also acting as a President Director Permata Bank, is willing to attend and share his experience to all of us. And our partner from Singapore, Airome, and Malaysia, Sitecore, are also here to share the solutions. Welcome to join our webinars. Hopefully, it will be useful and open up our horizons in determining solution during pandemic situations. That's all from me, and I thank you again for your presence. Back to MC.
Baik, terima kasih Bapak Bari atas welcoming speech-nya, dan sudah diinfokan gitu ya, ada beberapa hadiah nih untuk bagi penanya yang beruntung. Jadi jangan lupa untuk mengisi pertanyaan di kolom Q&A, ya, ada di kolom Q&A dan chat. Tapi untuk yang bertanya bisa langsung di kolom Q&A. And don't forget to complete your registration on the chat Zoom in link registration. Oke, jadi jangan lupa untuk mengisi link absen yang ada di kolom chat dan bertanya di kolom Q&A. Oke, thank you Mr. Bari for the welcoming speech. And now, without further ado, let us listen to the presentation from our first speaker, yaitu yang pertama Bapak Abdy Dharma Salimin, as a Director of Technology and Operation at Permata Bank. Waktunya kurang lebih 20 menit ya Pak. Sebelumnya kita akan menyaksikan terlebih dahulu video bumper dari Bapak Abdy. Silahkan.
Selamat pagi para partisipan yang sudah bergabung dengan webinar pagi ini ya. So, good morning everyone. I will probably conduct my presentation in English, right? Karena ada teman-teman dari luar negeri juga ya. Tapi nanti saya campur-campur aja, kalau misalnya ada yang mau bertanya silakan ya. I'm trying to make it short, but thank you for hosting me this morning. I will try to, share in terms of what Permata Bank has been up to for the last few years, and what are the business outcomes that we have achieved as a result of our digital investment over the last few years. Yeah. Jadi mungkin I'll start my presentation. Tell me if you can't see my screen, okay? Can you see my screen? Bisa kelihatan?
Yes, Pak Abdi, we can see your screen.
Okay. Yeah, so let me just get started, right? I'll just give you some context in terms of, you know, where is Indonesia in terms of digital, right? Now, you look at, you know, we probably have the largest number of population in Southeast Asia, right? Many of our population are below the age of 25. Many of them are millennial, actually. And high majority of them are actually live in the urban city, right? And many of them are actually employed, right? And we have a very consistent economic growth, I guess, in the last 10 years until last year when the pandemic hit, right? Well, that's a problem all around the world. It's not just particular in Indonesia. But interestingly, when you look at our landscape, you know, more than half of our population actually have access to internet, right? Many of them have a smartphone. And that's the reason why I think there are so many opportunities as a bank, how we could actually digitize payment. Obviously, there are challenges in the area where it doesn't have internet connection or it doesn't have 4G connection. Although you have smartphone, it's quite difficult for bank to reach them. And that's why when you look at it, more than half of our population are still unbanked. So huge opportunity. Return on equity in the banking industry is way above 12%. It's probably one of the highest, if not the highest in the world. And that's why you're seeing many banks are still around, and there are more than 100 fintechs actively driving the digital economy, right? So we are the rising wave of Asia, right? Just to give us a little bit more perspective, Indonesia economy today compared to the last Asian crisis in '98, or even compared to the last global economic crisis, we are a lot more stronger fundamentally, both on fiscal and monetary policy. Look at the inflation rate. We probably experienced the lower inflation rate ever on record in the case of Indonesia, below 1.5%. And economy, although it's still contracting, I guess, in Q1, but it's slowly bouncing back. And hopefully the government program on vaccination and also the economy recovery program will actually bounce the economy back, you know, during Q2 and the rest of the year. When you look at the rupiah depreciation, again, is very strong. Our foreign currency reserve keep increasing. We have a net export in the last few quarters, and that actually improve our exchange rate as well. Our internet banking, interbank money market rate actually is probably the lowest in the last 10, 15 years. The bad loans is also doing quite well. I mean, look at the pandemic, right? Even if we compare to the Asian crisis, it's much lower, 10 times lower. And more importantly, we heard many people sometimes would like to criticize the government in terms of the infrastructure spending, but really when you look at it, the government debt burden ratio, it's only 40% of what it used to be. If you compare to the US or even Singapore, it's way above 80-90% level. So Indonesia are still healthy. Even if you include the public debt, we are still very less leveraged compared to the time when we had the Asian crisis. So fundamentally, Indonesia economy is very strong. It is the rising wave of Asia. If you look around, we are actually witnessing the digital revolution right in front of our face. So many different innovation going on, many startups, many fintech, right? More so because the infrastructures that the government has supported and also the growing population, the rise of the millennial is actually, many of them are very digitally savvy and many of them are educated. So that in itself is actually creating the opportunity we never seen before. Obviously, the technology and the digital is driving all of this stuff. Like I said, we have a very resilient economy fundamental, politically are very stable, and hopefully we can get through this pandemic and the economy will keep growing again. The government is also heavily spending on infrastructures. Bear in mind the government debt burden ratio is still manageable, and I think the government also created many different initiatives. They have just recently launched the Temasa equivalent of Singapore in Indonesia called Indonesia Investment Authority, or INA. You know, the main objective is to bring in investment, to bring in private equity, to invest in core infrastructures that is badly needed in order to drive the economy, right? So that's the context of Indonesia. So where is Permata Bank in all of this when all of these are happening, right? I actually joined the bank in the December of 2016 from my previous employer, Standard Chartered Bank, and before that was Citibank. I was sent by Standard Chartered Bank from Singapore to Indonesia to help fix the Permata Bank, because Permata Bank used to own by Standard Chartered Bank back then, right? And we had the largest losses back in 2016. So we had to change the entire board of management team to basically turn around the bank. We have to clean up our governance. We have to clean up our risk, our credit, our processes, remodernize our technology infrastructures. We basically have to rebuild the bank from the scratch. 2018 was a year when we are really putting in a lot of investment as far as technology, processes, operation, compliance, risk management, to actually make the bank grow again. In 2020, you know, we actually had become the leader of the digital banking. I will share some of the things why we become a kind of leader in the market as far as digital is concerned. And 2021 January, we became one of the largest bank in Indonesia, ranked number 5 in terms of capital. In fact, in terms of capital adequacy ratio, we are probably the strongest now in Indonesia. We had become Buku 4 Bank. So Permata Bank has come quite a long way in the last 3-4 years, but we are making a real difference, right, for all our stakeholders and the digital economy. There's a lot of innovation going on. There were a lot of digital launches intended to actually solve customer problem. The thing about Indonesia is that unlike Singapore, Hong Kong, or Dubai, or any other a lot more developed country than Indonesia, there's not much problem to solve for. Here in Indonesia, we have all kind of problems. You know, we have transportation problem, we have payment problem, we have supply chain problem, you know, we have flooding issue, we have all kind of issue all around us. And that's where, because there are many problems, there's always going to be opportunities, right? If you could find a solution that can join the dot, you're there in the business, you're there to actually solve the problem. And that's why you see there are many different new startups with a good innovative digital technology coming here to solve many of our problems. So as a bank, you know, there are, just now I said 100 over banks and 100 over fintech. We are not going to be any different from other banks if we're just selling the same sets of products and services. So our strategy is we have to make sure that we can actually aim very differently, design ourselves very differently, build differently, right? So that we can actually focus on customer problem and actually making a difference for our customers, right? Our underlying principle is that whatever that we do, it has to be very simple, it has to be very fast, and it has to be very reliable, right? banking should be a very simple thing for anyone, right? It should not be difficult. It should be done, everything should be done from your mobile phone. You don't have to actually come to the branch or call your call center when you need to do your banking activity, right? So all of this require a lot of thinking, not thinking outside the box anymore, but thinking using the first principle design, banking 4.0, what Brad was teaching us. A lot of that was actually leveraged on that theory and put into practice as far as Permata Bank digital transformation is concerned. A little bit on how we actually build our ecosystem. We kind of don't want to think ourselves as a bank that sells products anymore. We would like to think ourselves as an ecosystem where we could actually provide our product and services to other ecosystems rather than just through the traditional branches or call center, right? So at the very top over here, this is where our customers are. It doesn't matter whether you're from retail or from commercial or from wholesale. We treat you the same as far as the common channel where you will be transacting. So whether you'll be transacting in the branch, whether you'll be transacting in the call center, right? Whether you'll be transacting using our QR, or whether you'll be transacting with our RM, the mobile RM, the channel at which you'll be interacting with us is always the same. Doesn't matter where you are. Now, to be able to do that, we need to underline all of this stuff with a common stack of technology, right? You will be hearing a lot from me about the use of API. API is becoming now our major source of new business and transaction. We have to make sure that how we build the pieces of the technology underneath our business, it can be commonly exposed to all our channel, right? So that will enable us to actually accelerate the speed to market. We are using agile way of doing things in how we deliver our technology. So that's the kind of things, how we stack up our technology. Now, how does it put to work? This chart may be a little bit complicated, but let me just quickly go through with you because it's very important. Over here, if you like, these are actually our customers. They are suppliers. They are ecosystem players. It could be a transportation people, e-commerce people. It could be a gaming, it could be a travel. It could be anyone that actually can be digitally connected to us through our API. Our API will actually support all our channel, whether it's QR, point of sales, virtual account, or payment point, right? Over here on this side, this is our mobile banking and internet channel, right? And all our branches and contact center, which can connect to all our different segment of our customers. And over here on this side, these are the supply chain of the industry. You could be a P2P lenders. You could be, in this case, a savings and loans, or what we call BPR. It could be the utility company, right? It could be a property management company. It could be university. It could be anyone that actually is part of the supply chain of the industry. What we do is actually link them up. We can actually either give them a loans, for example, in the case of P2P lenders, right? We actually funding their loans, right? On the online real-time basis. We also work with many multi-finance company, which actually help them set up the direct debit account, help them do the loan drawdown, loan disbursement, and help them do the collection, right? All using our API technology. On the other side, we also work with people like, for example, in trading and investment, people like Ajaib, for example, or people like iPod, people like RBH. Many of these are actually using our API to open the funding account and actually to do a transaction. All of this actually happen on a real-time basis using our API. So our traditional channel that is focusing on mobile and internet offering, and also our branches, it's not the only channel now that is actually bringing in business to Permata. We have many of our API and digital value chain business that is actually becoming the main source of our new business. So that's how we like to think ourselves as an ecosystem, and we will extend our product and services digitally through API with other ecosystem. And that's how our strategy is. Now the outcome, we started off our journey in 2016. Our transaction volume at that time was only less than 200 million, right? In 2020, we have grown almost 4 times. And just in Q1 this year, our volume is already half of last year. Now, bear in mind, during this same period of time, we hardly add any headcount in our business. We don't add any branches or physical presence. All of these are actually coming through the digital capabilities that we have. You look at the retail banking business is also growing very significantly, even compared to last year. Wholesale bank, the same story. So that's the kind of, I guess, output that you can see from how we have set up our capabilities and infrastructures and ecosystem to be able to actually grow this kind of volume. Another use case I can show you, back in 2016, the whole of the year, 1.6 million new loans and new accounts that we book. Fast forward to 2020, full year, we had booked 7.6 million. So more than 5 times increases. And when you look at the contribution, API is contributing 72% of our new sales. Back in 2016, there was no API, right? So what I'm trying to share with you is that if you are doing things right, okay, and do the right thing with the right level of technology, and it is not the technology that you have to present, it is the solution. If you can find a solution to solve the problem, not for technology's sake, but for solving the problem, very likely, you will be able to achieve something that is good for your company, right? So I'm just sharing some of this use case so that people should realize it is not about technology. Technology is only an enabler. I think very important for us to understand where are the customer problem, where are their pain points, how can we find a solution with the right technology to help them solve the problem, yeah? I guess moving on, here's another look at, these are all our physical channel, right? What we call assisted channel. The one below are all our digital channel. You look at the volume has gone up more than 5 times, right? As I said. But when you look at the digital channel over here, right? It's contributing more than 70% now of our volume. When you look at the branches, volume in terms of contribution are actually continually to go down, especially during the pandemic, right? ATM is also going down with a lot of things going through wallet, going through virtual account. ATM cash with the QRIS, it's basically diminishing, and that's the whole idea, right? Because cash is very expensive, and it's very expensive to operate as well, right? As far as customer experience, it's also a lot better if we can digitize those payment capabilities. I guess one more message that I want to share with you is that many people ask me, if the branch volume had declined, right? What are we going to do with the branch? Many bankers are going through that process. And for us in Permata, in the past, many of our services are done in the branches. Today, 95% of our volume are actually coming through the digital channel, right? So we have to reposition our branch. We have to kind of change how we should actually create value in the branch for our customer. So we are turning our branches, we are repositioning, we are redesigning our branches to be a lot more sales focused and a lot more customer-centric from that point of view. And they will be actually selling a lot more complex or sophisticated product, like probably wealth management advisory, SME loans, a lot more complex product that is not easy to digitize as far as customer experience impact are concerned. So we are doing that for all our branches. I'll share with you some of the branch story later. I guess it's also a good time for me to kind of share with you. I guess many people call themselves now a new bank, and there's about a dozen of new bank in the pipeline, in the making in Indonesia. And obviously there are a lot of hype that's going on, right? But I really want to maybe take the opportunity to share. Again, this is my personal view. Your view could be very different from mine as far as the difference between the two, yeah? So when you look at traditional bank, this is what it is. It hasn't changed for the last 1500 years, right? What may have changed is that now people may be using calculator, or they may have a bit of call center, they may have a little bit of core banking to actually register customer account or doing the deposit. But really for the last 1,500, 2,000 years, banking has not changed, right? Money is still involved. People carry money, people line up, right? People deposit their money, or people get the bank to lend them money. That's traditional bank, right? Now, we know if the process is analog like this, it's very, very difficult for us to grow scale. Look at the banking. It has not changed that much, right? That's traditional bank to me. Now, when you look at digital bank, right? Not just the front end are digital, the back end, how they do account opening, how they identify opportunity and do cross-sell and do campaign management to you, right? And how do they manage your account holding, the relationship, transaction history, right? How do you do payment? How do you do transfer? How do you do top up, right? And how do you do service requests? Everything is done digitally, right? I would probably argue that more than 95%, and in some extreme 100%, of the back office are fully digitalized, right? So to me, a new bank is a digital bank that can actually digitize all their product and services and processes, right? Digitally at the back end. So there's really no human intervention, right? Many of their headcount are probably a PhD people, right? Data scientists who draw insight, build model so that they can sell you more stuff. Or engineer who build their system, who build their app at the back end. There's no customer service who sits in the branch to serve you. They might have a small call center to actually serve you, but other than that, you know, they don't own that many physical channels. Some new bank may only own 1 or 2 branches. Some may not even have branches at all, right? So that's what a definition of new bank is, right? Now, when you look at Permata Bank digital channel, right? I guess I explained that earlier. We have our mobile banking. Our mobile banking is probably one of the best in the market, even in the region. I will share some of the comparison later with you. We also have our internet banking. It's very cool look, it's very simple, it's very fast in terms of performance, and it's probably something that people, you know, will look after when they use the channel, right? We also have a very cool corporate website. It's very much unlike banking. How it looks, the design, the UI, the UX are very different. I mentioned just now API. We also have our digital value chain that connect supplier and also the retailer on how we can actually lend them working capital loans. Obviously, we have our QR Pay, we have our acquiring business. Virtual account is something big for us. Obviously, the EDC and ATM, the old traditional digital channel. So these are all the channels that actually Permata Bank has. Now,
Pak Abdi, maaf, waktunya 2 menit lagi.
2 menit lagi ya.
Ya.
You know, I will quickly go through this. I guess the question that you would like to see is that how is that going to impact Permata Bank business, right? Now, this is what I can tell you. This is how account opening used to take place in the past in Permata, right? It took us 5 days to open an account. Today, everything can be done on the online real-time basis. We deploy AI for facial verification, voice recognition. We do a lot of RBA process for our credit check so that we can improve the account opening process. This is Permata Bank, our super app or mobile app. Yeah. This is our model branch. If you come to our digital model branch, everything is paperless, but it's also assisted by people because we want a human touch. You can do all your banking on the iPad, actually. This is our model branch. If you have time, opportunity, you can come and visit us. It's very hip, very cool. It's very consistent in terms of their look and feel with our mobile, with all our digital channel, so that the experience can be the same. We do a lot of RPA process digitization, not just at the front end, but the middle office and back office. So many of these are actually first design principle. We throw all the old process away and design everything from the scratch. Yeah. So we are truly a digital bank, actually. Yeah. This is some of our digital product and services. We also make comparison, right, to many of our neighborhood bank, including some of the recent digital bank and the world-renowned digital bank. And how do we compare, right? Many of the features that we have, in fact, we have more than 200 features in our mobile banking, right? Red, that means they are not available. Green, that means they are available. We are the only app that can open all accounts from your app. You don't actually have to come to the branch. You can even apply getting your loans, your credit card, open up your mutual fund trading account. You can start trading without coming to the branch. Same thing, you can buy bonds. You can do all kind of payment. You can even transfer money to a mobile number. You don't actually have to remember account number of your beneficiary. So on and on, when I make a comparison, yeah, can I just finish off? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So all of this stuff, I guess maybe I can share that with you later. I'm running out of time, but I guess that's pretty much the time that I have. So I better stop before they kick me out.
Thank you, Mr. Abdi.
Thank you, Abdi.
Thank you, Mr. Abdi, for the presentation and the Q&A session. But before that, we will present certificate to Mr. Bari Arijono to Mr. Abdi. We will present certificate to Mr. Abdi from Mr. Bari Arijono.
Iya. Silahkan ditampilkan sertifikatnya untuk Pak Abdi. Ya, Pak Abdi, saya berikan sertifikat kepada Bapak yang sudah memberikan kontribusi dan supportnya menjadi speaker pada kesempatan webinar pagi hari ini. Mohon diterima dengan baik.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Pak Abdi.
Kita berikan aplaus untuk Pak Abdi.
Oke, baik. Terima kasih Bapak Bari sudah memberikan sertifikat kepada Bapak Abdi. Dikarenakan Bapak Abdi akan meninggalkan Zoom meeting ini sebentar lagi, kita akan langsung ke Q&A. Di sini sudah ada in Q&A column from Fabio Surya Putra to Mr. Abdi. Good morning. What is the most crucial upcoming digital disruption that Indonesia will face? What is strategy of bank in Indonesia to tackle that disruption? This is from Fabio. So, Mr. Abdi.
Yeah, I guess disruption is probably, the keywords that many people like to use, right? But I guess for me, it's not the disruption. I guess for me is how the problem that the customer are facing, the pain points that the customers are facing, whether you are in the banking or whether you are actually a coffee shop owner or whether you are part of the supply chain agent, you will be facing all kinds of problems in the context of Indonesia, right? And for us as a provider, whether you are providing banking services as a financial intermediary, again, whether you are a coffee shop owner, the idea is how we can actually create an innovative solution, right? By means of digital so that we can solve that problem. And if the solution is really good and it's something that is really disruptive, then that's fine. Everybody will probably jump on the bandwagon and follow you, right? But it doesn't have to be something that is epic all the time, right? I guess, many of the founder of the Decacon company, when they set up the company maybe 5-10 years ago, they probably don't think like that, right? So I guess for us is to be able to, look at where are all the problems, identify what are the opportunities that exist for you as a provider, and then give that solution, right? And I think it's happening every day in Indonesia, right? And that's why we have a lot of opportunities over here, right? I heard someone saying that, Indonesia today is not as good as other countries. I should tell you I can tell you that's not really true. Many things over here are a lot more advanced, right? I lived overseas for 18 years before I come back here in 2016. I can tell you many things that we have today. Singapore doesn't have, Hong Kong doesn't have, India, Malaysia don't have. Yeah. So we have to be proud of what we have actually. There are a lot of opportunity over here, right? So I guess that's my sharing for you. Any other question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Abdi. And another question from Gatot Prasetyo. With all those Permata ecosystem, does Permata already have big data infrastructure, self-built or use cloud provider infrastructure?
Yeah.
It's all about big data.
So I guess if you have a good digital channels and good API business model, but if you don't have big data to support you, it's going to be challenging, right? I guess a big data is something that has to underlying all your digital capabilities so that you can draw customer insight, you can understand your customer behavior, you can understand them a lot better, you can build propensity model, right? You can build your campaign opportunities, you can cross-sell them, you can build more relationship, you can do a lot more things, you can actually use data to actually identify fraudster, you can draw insight of what is happening in your cybersecurity space. So data in the digital space is very important, right? And yes, Permata Bank has that. We have been investing on that in the last 3 years, but we are still very green. We are still, just starting because the data analytics resources are not, I guess everywhere in the region also it's quite in demand today, and it's not easy to find a good people around, right? So I guess the data technology is one thing, but getting the right people, the data scientists, the people who understand the data, who can build model, that's something is also a challenge, right? So in the case of Permata, we will continue to do both.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Abdi, and thank you for the question, Mr. Gatot Prasetyo from Bank Jago. Yeah. Terima kasih atas pertanyaannya di Q&A column. Thank you Mr. Abdy for the presentation. Maybe ada tambahan dari Pak Bari?
Yes, thank you for the times. And allow me to speak in bahasa, Pak Abdi ya.
Ya, silakan Pak.
Ya Pak Abdi, terima kasih banyak atas kesempatannya dan juga atas presentasinya tadi. Sangat luar biasa, dari tahun 2016 hingga tahun 2020, saya lihat perkembangannya dan pertumbuhan Bank Permata lebih daripada 5 kali lipat, dengan 90% lebih transaksinya ini dari digital bankingnya. Nah, kita tahu bahwa Permata saat ini memiliki nasabah kurang lebih 4 juta nasabah, ya, dan itu semua adalah retail banking. Saya hanya ingin memberikan satu tanggapan saja, mohon nanti respon dari Pak Abdi sebagai Digital Bank Institute. Kami juga memiliki pengalaman dalam kehidupan sehari-hari untuk membuka rekening di bank. Saat ini masih banyak perbankan kita yang melakukannya dengan cara tradisional yang tadi Pak Abdi katakan di awal, ya, harus datang ke kantor cabang, tanda tangan basah, dan memakan waktu lebih daripada 1 hari hingga lebih dari 3 hari membuka rekening bank saja untuk pribadi maupun untuk bisnis dan juga kepada korporasi. Nah, apakah ke depannya Bank Permata akan totally change, Pak Adi, yang tadi Pak Adi katakan building from scratch, Pak Adi, ya, dan aim difference, totally akan jadi digital bank ke depannya, atau Pak Abdi akan mengadopsi istilah neobank yang tadi menjadi hype? Silakan Pak Abdi.
Ya, mungkin tadi waktu saya menerangkan mungkin kurang clear ya. Sebenarnya definisinya digital bank kalau menurut saya ya, is a bank that can provide its product and services to the customer digitally, right? Jadi di depannya juga digital, di belakangnya how they process and fulfill the product and services to customer are also needs to be digitally connected, right? So by that definition, Permata Bank is already a digital bank, right? So by that definition, because we are able to allow customer to open any account or getting loans from the mobile app, whether it's CASA, deposit, mutual fund, bonds, banca, credit card, personal loan, and mortgages. You really have to use our app and you can feel it, right? You don't have to come to the branch at all to get your account open and use it immediately, because we can also give you a virtual card, debit card and credit card. You can use it immediately, ya kan? Nah, apakah nanti ke depannya we are going to close all our branches? No, the answer is no. You see the background of my Zoom. These are one of our model branch, digital branch, right? We are remodeling and reposition the role our branch so that they can be a lot more sales focused, because services are now mostly go to digital channel, but that's not what Permata Bank wants. That's what our customer wants. Yeah, kan? So they have a choice. When they want to use digital channel, they can go there. But when they want to meet face-to-face with our relationship manager or with our branch manager, or come to have a coffee with our customer service people, they can still come to our branch. Because again, Bank Permata are like many other traditional banks, right? We are universal bank who sell the same sets of products and services, right? The windows for us to actually differentiate ourselves is very narrow, right? So I think we have to continue to be innovative and understand what customer want. Many digital branches in the country today, when the customer go to the branch, they will be sitting and talking to machine. Now that to us, you know, the way we want to do our digital branch is that it has to have a human touch. So digital and the human experience are something that we want to actually, give that to customer, because that I think customer will really want that. Yeah. Jadi, is Permata Bank going to be a digital bank one day or new bank one day? I think the answer, we already are today. That's why don't get confused with the hype digital bank or new bank, right? The difference, remember, front office-nya harus digital, back office-nya juga harus digital. If you can achieve that, you can really call yourself a digital bank. Yeah. Obviously, there are differences lah. Their cost structure might be different because they don't have physical presence. They do not have physical human being in back office-nya. Yeah, obviously they have a cost advantage, but don't forget, they will also have to offer the higher interest rate on their savings or deposit in order to attract customers. Yeah. But it's a long story. I guess for me, you know, a simple definition supaya kita mengerti kali ya. Itu kali Pak Bari.
Yes, thank you very much, Pak Abdi. Terima kasih banyak atas responnya. Silakan mungkin dari Pak Bambang Setiawan.
Cukup. Saya hanya mengucapkan terima kasih banyak Pak Abdi atas perkenannya menjadi speaker di acara international webinar kita ini. Dan one thing that I noted from Pak Abdi's presentation is that your presentation is motivating us, all of us, to love more to Indonesia. You give us a lot of data, a lot of realities that Indonesia basically is better than other countries. Thank you, Pak. Semoga Bank Permata maju, jaya, dan terus sukses. Yang sekarang lagi dibimbing Pak Abdi ya, Pak Abdi, congratulations for your assignment as an acting president director. And also my best regards to all board of directors and board of commissioners members. Thank you very much.
Ya, terima kasih Pak Bambang dan Pak Bari. Udah nggak ada pertanyaan, saya boleh check out atau masih ada?
Boleh. Sudah, silakan. Terima kasih Bapak Abdi bisa meninggalkan roomnya jika memang sudah harus keluar. Terima kasih Bapak Abdi atas pemaparan materinya dan juga telah menjawab gitu ya. Ada beberapa pertanyaan tadi dari peserta maupun dari Pak Bari dan juga Pak Bambang.
Oke.
Baik.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Pak Abdi.
Terima kasih.
Banyak Pak Abdi.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, sir. For those of you who have questions, please leave them in the Zoom Q&A column section. Some lucky one will receive a special prize. So, Mr. Abdi is our first speaker, and then next, let us listen to the presentation from Mr. Auzani Ridzwan, lead sales engineer at Sitecore. Your time is 20 minutes, and before you start, we will see the video bumper from Mr. Auzani Ridzwan.
Thank you, Ibu Vika, for that introduction. So thank you very much to the DEI team for inviting us to present in this really great webinar so far. There's a lot of great insights I think that we will be learning today, especially looking at, for example, what Bank Permata has done is very impressive. And I fully agree that even from our experience, Indonesia has been the forefront in terms of investing in all the latest technologies to transform their industries in the FSI, which has been predominantly traditional, into much more advanced digital experiences. So what I will be presenting today is to share some insights in terms of what does it actually take to create these customer experiences. And with working from multiple FSI customers throughout the region in Southeast Asia, there's quite a number of learnings that I think is very effective. And again, this is what we want to share with the attendees here today. So my name is Auzani. You can call me Auzani Ridzwan. I'm one of the sales engineers with Sitecore. and I've been working with Sitecore for over 6 years within this region, helping in various industries, but primarily have been focused around the FSI industry. But also what we've seen is that we can learn from other industries as well, and then apply that across other industries, and that also has been very effective. So before I start, probably the question is, why do you need customer experience, right? And as Bambang, as Bank Permata earlier has sort of like illustrated, the main reason why we need to invest in customer experience is because it's what is demanded by the customers today, right? So the change is that customers today needs to be able to operate anywhere. They want to be treated as individuals, no longer just anonymous or a broad segment, and they have specific needs, for them, for each stage of their life and each stage of their user journey. So really the key here is really about making things easy, safe, and quick, being a trusted advisor to the customer rather than selling products and services, and really inspiring them to, for example, have that brand loyalty with your organizations. And across the FSI industry, the major trends we've seen again is the change from being transaction-based to banks positioning themselves as financial advisors or trusted advisors to the customer and to the consumer. Where in the past, the banks does not have a unique view about the customer, to being more individualized. So using data to understand every single customer, every single prospect, and catering the services to them specifically. And then changing from being a bank. So traditionally you would associate a bank as a physical location. You see the signs, you see the banners, you see the nice shiny buildings, to be banking, meaning that it's no longer about the physical presence, but it's about providing the services anytime, anywhere, on any device. And then even internally, so not even just for the end customers, but within the banks themselves, the paradigm shift, working as separate departments, managing their own things, to being a more synergistic organizations where marketing works with IT, working with data analytics, having the buy-in from the C-level and executive driving the whole customer experience. Okay. Oops. And from a financial incentive, again, there's a big motivation for banks to invest in customer experience optimization, in the sense that CX optimizations essentially allows banks to build that brand loyalty that increases the retention. Today, it's so easy for any consumer to switch to different banks. If one bank is not providing the services to their satisfaction. And again, for existing customer, this provides the opportunity to enrich or to increase the level of investment or purchases by that existing consumer with the products and services offered by the bank. And here we put up a simple table that shows just 1 point increase in the customer satisfaction index can already result in over $500 million worth of investment for the organization. So it's not just about something being trendy, but it is a real financial incentive. And as you saw from the previous presentation, you saw that over 50% increase in the revenue. And that's a testament to how customer experience can really improve that. So then the question is, what happens if you don't invest in customer experience? So really, it's losing the opportunity to all these new banks, right? To all these disruptors. And it's a common trend where the existing traditional banks who have existed for 50, over 80, hundreds of years, this is the opportunity where you can reinvent yourself and retain that market share within your markets. So the next question is, all right, so now I'm sold that I need to improve my customer experience. So how do I get started? right? What is a good customer experience? What are the things that I need to do in my organization to then create these good customer experience? So we actually have sort of like three main pillars, which we believe are the key ingredients that you need to look at in order to drive these good customer experiences. And customer experience is not something that you just do once and it's done. It's actually a continuous loop that you do incrementally, you try and test, you measure the results, and then you improve it and do it again, right? But the first most important thing that we believe the first ingredient that you need is the understanding of your customers or all your prospects. And that's with the ability to build a database around the individual or the single view of the customer. And what it really means is that you need to be able to track the interactions of your customers and your prospects across sales, across marketing, and across services. So across all these three key channels. And by collecting that data, it means that you need to then unify this data into some kind of repository. And then typically we talk about big data, that's what it is. And from there, this is where we can draw the insights, understand the behaviors, determine the segments that will then drive the actual experience that we want to create. And the real goal of doing this is that by having this understanding of the customer, this is how we draw the customers into our digital properties, right? So how would that typically look like? Well, today most banks have already invested or may already have some form of digital channel. You may have your digital banking app, you may have your internet banking app, you have your various corporate websites and all that. What is important here is, not to reinvent all of that or to throw out whatever you've already invested in, but to think about where are the opportunities that you can invest in to collect data that is meaningful from those endpoints, right? So what I'm saying here is that you don't need to record every single button click or every single page view, but what is important is that you identify what are the main activities that is important to the business. So this could be, for example, sending in an inquiry form or downloading a product sheet. So all these key marketing activities are the type of information that you want to collect. And you want to collect it even for unknown and anonymous prospects as well. Because the end goal is that you want the ability to convert them from anonymous prospect to an actual customer. And even for your existing customers, you want to be able to tie your known customers to their anonymous behaviors as well. So one example that I want to share is a company called Australian Super. Australian Super is one of the largest superannuation funds in Australia. Basically, workers would invest a part of their income into these funds that they will use towards their retirement life. Now, what Australian Super realized is that, again, there's a lot of other superannuation funds within the market there. So for them to differentiate themselves from the competitors, they focused on, for example, building a profile about their customers. So collecting information about their interaction, the patterns in terms of how they invest into their funds, and also their risk factors and all that. And based on the data that they then collected, what they then did was to then develop the insights around those customers. So they looked at, for example, the life stage. So for example, are you just starting in your retirement investment fund, or are you now approaching your retirement age? And based on those different life stages, the type of messaging and communication that is sent out to those users will be different as well. So this allows the company to then send the right type of messaging at the right time to their members, and therefore increase, for example, the probability that they will invest more for their retirement funds. So that's the first ingredient. Now, once we have the data, once we have all these insights, we need to do something with that. And this is the second ingredient for the customer experience, which is to build a customer success platform. So what this really is to build the capabilities from a technology, people, and process perspective, where you can combine the offline and the online experiences together. So when we talk about customer experience, it's not just on the digital. It's such that from digital to physical, back to digital, or anywhere they go as well, right? So even if a person interacts with you digitally, when they walk into, for example, a branch, you need to be able to present that same level of experience to those users. So the way, again, this is done is to be able to reach out across any of those channels to drive that data and those insights that we've collected previously. And the key method that most organizations will take to do this is through what we call personalization. And we like to take that a step further and say individualization. So personalization is, for example, just showing some content or products and services to broad segments, but we can take that a step further where I target the right content and services to every single individual. So every person is unique to the business. And how are we able to drive that personalization? So again, there are three key things that we need to do in order to be able to do this. The first is that you need a process where you can easily create the content that can serve these individual experiences or these different audiences. So what I'm talking about next here is more about from a bank's capability, from the operations side of things. By having that content, you can then use the data to match the content, the messaging, to the different audiences across the right type of channels. Now, the major problem a lot of organizations face today is that the content may not be something that they think about or that they invest heavily about. And the end goal is that we want to try to transform is to give you the ability to cope. So cope means to create once and then to publish everywhere. The demand here now is that you need those consistent messaging across any type of channel that you have today or any new channels that may even arrive in the future as well. And the real issue here today is that content is traditionally locked into the respective channels where you're presenting that message. So whether that's a website or email or mobile, each of that will be managed by separate systems, and each of that would have a copy of, for example, the same messaging or same content that you're trying to communicate. So our advice is first to centralize that content into, for example, a centralized repository that can then be exposed and shared out across to any channels that needs to be consumed. So this is where, for example, that API-based approach becomes very effective, where the process of delivering the content becomes consistent and democratized across any channel that needs it. The second part is to then put in the process of generating that content. So the process of planning, approvals, reviews, such that you have the right type of governance in place before it is being consumed across the different channels. And then on the upstream side of things, the ability to integrate with all the different content contributors, and then to go through that governance process to then go out to those content consumers. And then from an operational perspective, overlaying that with all the various teams within the bank and organization that manages each aspect of this entire process. All right? So only when we have all of that in place are we then ready to then, for example, deliver this any channel type of experience where a person can start browsing from the web, and there we track the behaviors and send messaging there, and then they go home and continue it on their laptop, and then go and receive an email and interact with you from clicking the email, going to the social media channels, seeing the relevant adverts that bring them back, for example, to your website. So this is the experience that can then be created by having those two ingredients in place. Now, if we think about it from a bigger picture, so this is another view to look at it, is to think about it from the marketer's perspective, where it is an entire end-to-end process where you start from the process of the content creation, so different set of capabilities that you need and different business values that you are delivering from an operational perspective, and then moving on to presenting that across any type of channel. And then finally, using the digital experience capabilities to personalize, to understand the analytics, to do A/B testing, and then to use those results to further improve this cycle and again and again. So one example is that we worked with Bank BCA way back in 2017, and we've been on a continuous journey with them, where they started out with their Prioritas website, building the capability to collect understanding about their customers, and then serving the right type of products and offers. And then now today expanding that to their corporate website. So again, for example, if you walk into Bank BCA's operation or marketing department, instead of seeing people working at desks and all that, you see this control room with screens looking at the different marketing performance across the different segments and audiences that they're targeting. The final ingredient in this customer experience is then the ability to provide the same data and insights to the offline type of channels as well. And what we mean by this is that when we go into the transactional space, for example, talking to a bank agent, they need the ability to access that same type of in-depth information and insights about their customers. And this is where the banks can add value. For example, during their conversations, whether that's over the phone, in person, or through all the various messaging channels, that they understand the background about their customers and they can use those insights to upsell and cross-sells to improve the value there as well. So if we look at all the pieces that are required together, the first part is you need the data foundation. You need that data layer that can aggregate all the data from various sources. And then you need a data analysis layer that can then build or extract the insights and understanding, which is then used, for example, to drive your audiences to your digital channels. Then the next layer up you need is the experiences. So this is where you have that centralized content, your content management, and then all your digital experiences to drive that customer experiences across your digital channels. And then as you mature further, you then can have the integration to your transactional systems to extend that experience across your physical spaces as well. So these are some examples of the value metrics that we've seen across the industry. So again, we'll leave it here. I won't go into the details. You can see that as a copy in the slide deck. So to conclude, for example, to basically conclude, the question is, how do I then get started? And as I said earlier, customer experience is not something that you can do in just one day, and then you have a good experience. It is a continuous process, and one of the key things that you need to realize is that there are different stages of maturity to achieve this customer experience. And the goal really is to identify where you are today and then to work towards, for example, moving up that maturity ladder as well. And from a technology perspective or a platform perspective, that could mean by investing in the basics first, having that content foundation, the ability to communicate on any channel at any time. And then as you mature further, adding on more capabilities to your organizations, whether that's to data analytics, to then automation, and then finally to open integration and leveraging AI. And we also cannot forget that none of this can happen if you don't have the people in place. And it's important that you need to look at your organization, whether you have, for example, the C-level buy-in to, for example, set the different strategies, and the CX leaders that can translate those strategic objectives into tactical methods. And then all the different team members that can utilize their skill sets to then deliver those tactics from the customer experience. And then finally, to have that process in place. And just like, for example, building rockets today, you see SpaceX leveraging, for example, agile methodology. The same methods can also be applied from a customer experience perspective. So you need to look at whether you have the process and training in place where you can leverage this agile methodology. So the idea is that you build capabilities quickly, you iterate on it. So in the industry, we say build quick, fail fast, and continuously improve on that. So to conclude, basically, the main things, again, to summarize my presentation today is really customer experience all starts with understanding the customer. There's a saying back in Malaysia, we say, tak kenal maka tak cinta, right? So if you don't know the person, there's no way you can love them, right? So you need to have that data foundation first before you can serve them. Once you have that data, then the idea is to have the campaigns, the tactics to then create those experiences that are meaningful. And what we say by meaningful is that it needs to be targeted and relevant. You know, it's not good enough just to show something fancy. You need to show what is relevant to that person at that time. The third is to dissolve what we call this channel boundaries. So this is where this API-based approach, and again, in our industry, from a technology perspective, we're looking at things which we call the MARC initiative. So that means microservices, API first, cloud, and headless. So the idea is that any type of technology can be assembled together to deliver these capabilities. And then finally, we need to have those people and process in place. So it is very imperative and important that the C-level executives have, for example, the buy-in to drive these initiatives. So they have the sponsorship and you have the skill sets in place also to deliver this. So I hope that has been a very useful and educational session. So if there are any questions, feel free to ask that in the Q&A session. So here, I'll just leave some links here, again, to this, and also to other upcoming webinars as well. So thank you very much, and I'd like to return it back to Ibu Vika.
All right, thank you, Mr. Auzani, for the presentation. And don't forget to leave the question to the Q&A column and the link registration in the chat Zoom, because the registration will be closed at 11 AM. Okay, jadi semuanya jangan lupa untuk mendaftar di link registrasinya yang ada di kolom chat, kemudian bertanya di kolom Q&A, sertakan nama dan juga pertanyaan untuk siapa narasumbernya, kemudian dilanjutkan dengan pertanyaannya. Okay, before we next to our speakers, Mr. Bari Arijono will present certificate to hand over to Mr. Auzani Ridzwan.
Wow, amazing presentations, Pak Auzani. I believe every banking in Indonesia looking after a Sitecore customer experience solutions. I believe that. And I gave the certificate for you, Mr. Auzani Ridzwan, as an expression of our gratitude.
Thank you so much, Bari.
You're welcome. Please listen. So give applause to Mr. Auzani.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Auzani. Next, we will move on to our speakers today, Mr. Leonard Chong, VP of Business Development at Airome Technologies. Your time is 20 minutes, but before you start, we will see the video from Mr. Leonard Chong.
Hi, apa kabar? Very good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
A warm welcome to today's webinar. I hope everyone, including your families, are safe and well. I'd like to thank DBI for organizing this webinar. Terima kasih banyak.
Sama-sama Pak Leonard. Thank you so much.
Okay, you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so I shall be sharing my views today on how digital and financial inclusion can help us to recover economically from this pandemic, and how contactless customer experience can accelerate this process. Okay, so COVID-19 has altered consumer behavior, right? As countries ease their lockdown restrictions, organizations will be confronted by heightened customer expectations and the need to make customers and employees feel safe. In this new normal, innovative digital services will have to be provided to allow consumers to continue doing their essential and leisure activities without leaving their homes. Since the pandemic is still very much part of our lives, businesses are now preparing for a new trend that's likely here to stay: the adoption of contactless customer experience. So with contactless experience, consumers can continue to perform their transactions digitally without having to be physically present at any location. Our mobiles, I believe, will be the perfect platform for this purpose, as it is an essential part of our lives. And with mobile penetration rates rising, providing contactless customer experience through mobile would be ideal for digital and financial inclusion, greater service adoption, and ultimately faster mass market penetration. Social distancing is the new normal now, right? And COVID-19 has turned into a reality check for businesses. Businesses now need to ask the hard questions like, am I really able to serve the needs of my customers? Are my services satisfactory? Is my customer really able to communicate with me? Unfortunately, despite all the discussions and plans for digital transformation, we actually fall short in our service offerings. From authenticating and authorizing identities for the opening and registration of new accounts, the cashing of checks, and application for services, the current system is not really able to effectively support the whole idea of performing remote contactless transactions. With social distancing, consumers may now decide to choose banks that provide digital services they can use without leaving homes. Digital inclusion is the ability of individuals and groups to access and use information and communication technologies. A digitally inclusive community is important for the development of the economy and workforce, education, healthcare, and public safety. Building a digitally inclusive community requires participation and support from all sectors: businesses, government, and policymakers. It is a blueprint for addressing and guiding the readiness of communities to fully embrace the digital age, particularly important as we rely and use more digital services in this new normal. COVID-19 obviously has accelerated the growth of digitalization. It is therefore more critical to ensure digital literacy for everyone. The primary objective of digital inclusion is to achieve digital equality. With digital equality, everybody will have the IT capacity needed for full participation in our society and economy. Digital equality is necessary for employment, lifelong learning, and access to essential services. Being digitally inclusive will enrich the lives of individuals and communities as a whole and ensure that no one is left behind. Our ability to be digitally agile will allow us to adapt more successfully, an important factor that will ensure resilience in this new normal. Digital services, including the very important financial services, can help our economies to recover. Digitally agile businesses and communities will be able to adapt and recover more successfully. Therefore, it's really important for governments and communities to support digital initiatives to help drive the economic recovery. Typically, the populations least likely to be online or digitally inclusive are the less educated, the poor, the elderly, persons with disabilities, and people in countries with low broadband penetration. Well, unfortunately, these people are most affected by the pandemic. Financial inclusion refers to the ability of individuals to access financial products and services to meet their needs. Financial inclusion is needed for all, especially the poor, right? This inclusion helps these people to make daily payments reliably and have access to credit, which can be invested in their small-scale income-generating activities. Being financially included will allow people affected by the pandemic to start rebuilding their lives. Therefore, getting these communities to be digitally inclusive will make it easier to financially include them by onboarding and providing them access to the financial system with products and services that are both affordable and useful. So it's important to remember that digital inclusion will drive financial inclusion. And financial inclusion is a key driver of resilience in the face of future economic shocks like the ones caused by COVID-19. So we are seeing radical changes in consumers who have more power than ever. Consumers now feel they need to be connected everywhere and at any time. They also want their needs to be met immediately, including the consumption of relevant and useful content. And this has resulted in an increase in digital channel adoption. We are also seeing the acceleration of contactless cashless payments as an alternative to cash and checks. We all know that the traditional payment ecosystem can possibly expose countless of people to the risk of infection, right? So although customer experience is difficult to quantify, customer turnover is tangible and customer loyalty is quickly becoming a thing of the past. Customer loyalty is a product of rich client relationships that begin with knowing a customer and their expectations, as well as adopting an ongoing customer-centric approach. By knowing and engaging your customer accordingly, banks can optimize interactions that will result in increased customer satisfaction and wallet share, and a subsequent decrease in customer churn. So here are some concerns banks should be addressing in this new normal. As mentioned, there's an obvious shift in consumer behavior and their rising expectations. So with every new generation, consumers will have a better understanding of technology, and as a result, an increased expectation of the digital experience. Customers will only be satisfied when their expectations are met, and satisfied customers will be key to sustain business growth. For customer retention, digital transformation is necessary if banks don't want to be left behind by the evolution of digital technology. But where most people see challenges, banks should see opportunities to provide better services and establish greater relationships with their customers. What's important, as mentioned earlier, is the customer satisfaction and trust. Customer trust, after all, is the cornerstone of the digital economy. We are seeing an increase in competition as most businesses have to go online now to remain competitive. The banking industry, for example, is undergoing a radical shift, one driven by new competition from fintechs, who typically target the most profitable areas in financial services. And they are also changing business models, mounting regulation and compliance pressures, and disruptive technologies. So in this age of new normal, it will be wise to seek partnerships or at worst, acquisition opportunities. And finally, security breaches. Banks must definitely invest in the latest technology-driven security measures to protect the customer and maintain the level of trust, especially in this digital world. Consumers now expect frictionless and personalized experiences at any touch point. Any failure to meet these expectations may probably result in a consumer choosing a different service provider. It is therefore important that we adapt to this evolving customer behavior. So here, some key takeaways on this are: the digital revolution will be driven by mobile. Therefore, we should adopt a mobile-first strategy since a large majority of internet usage is on mobile. And not forgetting the unbanked and underbanked are also mobile savvy. The customer experience, therefore, should be mobile centric. We should adopt open industry standards and partnerships through the use of APIs to connect to the ecosystem and leverage on open APIs, and also partnerships that focus on evolving customer behavioral trends. We should personalize experiences using big data and machine learning to create easy to use and highly personalized customer experiences. We should work on increasing customer trust, as transaction security and trust is key when we are in a digital environment that potentially exposes us to threats such as SMS OTP hijacking, phishing, SIM swap fraud, and malware. With the use of eKYC, it will ease the application, identification, and verification processes for digital transactions. This will greatly reduce transactional risk for consumers and businesses. And finally, most importantly, having easy to use, highly secure, and cost-effective contactless digital services on mobile will be key enablers to achieve expansion goals. With contactless customer experience, there is no physical human interaction, no touch screens, no need to be physically present at any location. The 3 points of contact, employee to employee, employee to customer, customer to customer, will not be present and the risk of exposure to the virus minimized. This developing trend has resulted from a greater shift towards health and wellness due to the threat of exposure to the virus when at physical branches or offices. It will minimize the chance of infection, as our transactions that used to be performed at physical locations can now be done remotely. This will result in a greater shift towards the use of our mobiles. Mobile technology is obvious solution to overcome the logistic issues associated with having a physical presence or branch office everywhere. The whole contactless customer experience will be driven by mobile. So why is the demand for digital mobile services growing so rapidly, aside from the obvious health and safety concerns? Well, there are 3 simple reasons. Firstly, people love using their digital devices. Secondly, people also love conveniences. And thirdly, people love the idea of doing things quickly. We can all relate to the sense of accomplishment when we're able to pay our bills or make purchases while sitting down enjoying a cup of coffee. How quick and convenient, right? It simply allows us to have more time to do other things. So our ever-present mobiles will be the most convenient tool for us. We should be able to do the following via apps on our mobiles: shop at our convenience store, pay as a credit or debit card or wallet, save through our deposits, invest in bonds, equities, or mutual funds, protect ourselves through the purchase of insurance products, borrow through secured or unsecured loans, identify ourselves for authentic digital identification and verification purposes, eKYC, sign digitally, acknowledge, verify, and exchange legal agreements and documents, paperless office. Contactless customer experience is the delivery of consumer services outside conventional physical branches, offices, and locations. It can ensure that people have access to financial services irrespective of their location. Rural areas are quite inaccessible, and opening a bank branch in such villages is not feasible. Banking in these areas can be facilitated through agents and mobile services. Agents bridge the gap between banks and unbanked rural customers by providing quick eKYC and onboarding, verification and approvals, facilities to pay bills, make deposits, withdraw cash. All this using a smart device powered by a branchless banking application. In fact, economies are encouraging mobile payments to overcome the obstacles of geographical expanse and remote areas. So some other benefits also include winning a loyal customer base with fast, secure, and convenient consumer services, increasing sales by pitching personalized responses and offers, enhancing the customer experience by providing customer services anytime, anywhere, reducing transaction time, increase employee productivity through the use of chatbots as they can handle FAQs and most of the client queries, encouraging a cashless economy and offering multiple payment options, permitting the use of a wide range of agents outside bank branches, thereby increasing the number of service points. So here are some of the key features that will allow you to provide a secure contactless digital banking customer experience using your mobile. Secure frictionless confirmation methods, eKYC, PKI, and paperless office. For added security, banks and businesses have implemented 2FA. This gives an extra layer of protection to ensure your online security. Some typical 2FAs that are used today include your keychain size tokens, your OTP sent via SMS, your digital tokens or soft tokens. They are used extensively, but they are not safe due to frequent incidences of SIM swap fraud, Trojan malware, and SMS hijacking. The European Union's revised Payment Service Directive, PSD2, which is meant to make online payments safer and more secure, has issued standard technical guidelines which state that OTPs generated by SMS and tokens are not PSD2 SCA compliant. So it's therefore not surprising that we are moving away from SMS and token-based OTPs. Traditional transaction confirmation methods are outdated and discouraged, and therefore cannot address data security and privacy in contactless customer experience. In addition, the whole process is not user-friendly. eKYC can be used for customer onboarding, identity verification, and ongoing user authentication. In this digital era, when many customers are digitally savvy and any visit to a branch office is seen as a waste of time, an eKYC onboarding process should be as efficient, seamless, and convenient as possible. Banks should focus on decreasing time-consuming and frustration-generating activities. In fact, 38% of banking customers claim that user experience is one of the most important criteria in choosing an appropriate bank. Hence, creating rewarding and meaningful customer experience should be a priority for banks. And from a business perspective, there's also a greater need for banks to pay more attention to customer acquisition and identity verification across the globe. eKYC solutions are empowering banks to tap into the massive unbanked market and expand their digital footprint overseas. The account opening process can be time-consuming and comes with a huge amount of paperwork, and customers typically face challenges like a bank has an interesting offer but doesn't enable customers to start the account opening process online. Thus, a visit to a bank branch is needed. Bearing in mind that new normal customers are reducing face-to-face contact and want the ability to perform all types of financial transactions regardless of time and location, an eKYC system provides opportunities to open accounts without the necessity to visit a branch, and includes other benefits like boosting the flexibility of access and giving customers the option to choose between a virtual and physical branch. Furthermore, customers are provided with instantaneous support depending on their needs, and employees are less burdened with paperwork, have real-time access to records, and can easily evaluate a customer's details. This procedure is not only efficient but also cost-saving and helps increase a bank's image. The need to combat financial crimes has grown. Migrating safely online means assessing risks associated with customers and the security of their data. Correctly identifying a customer and their identity is the paramount responsibility of banks in mitigating financial risks. The number of cybercrime attempts on online services have increased tremendously. Businesses should use innovative services like managed PKI to provide encryption for financial websites, apps, and emails. Improving the cybersecurity of every business should be a top priority. The use of PKI enables a secure exchange of digital signatures in open networks where many communication parties are involved. There's a need to be comfortable that the claim initiator of the transaction has actually sent the message. Hence, PKI encryption, digital signatures, and digital certificates ensure a high level of security and trust for transactions conducted in digital. Digital signatures create persistent tamper-resistant evidence of who did what to whom, which is critical to the electronic transactions carrying high legal risk or compliance requirements. And finally, most banks sign a lot of paper documents with their customers, agreements to open current accounts, issue loans, place deposit, investments, and other services. All this leads to significant costs associated with printing, logistics, and document storage. It also limits customer service to in-person interactions at the branch office. Expansion of services and growth in a number of customers inevitably challenge banks to reduce the financial and time cost of paperwork and lower the risk of errors. The most effective solution is the use of digital service channels to execute and digitally sign agreements. Digital interaction should not only be more convenient and accessible for customers, but also as secure and legally effective as traditional methods. Therefore, business have to ensure the integrity and authorship of signed digital documents. In addition, the digital signing solution should have extensive capabilities for resolving complex situations in order to avoid legal risks that may arise if a customer disputes their operation. I hope you now have a better understanding of the importance of digital and financial inclusion, and with the changing behavior and expectations of consumers due to safety and health concerns in this new normal, how frictionless confirmation methods, eKYC, PKI, and paperless office features can help you provide secure, contactless customer experience on mobile. That will allow you to address these customer needs and grow your customer base in this post-pandemic era. At Airome, we allow banks to build secure, easy-to-use, and cost-effective contactless digital banking services through our transaction authentication digital signatures, eKYC, PKI, and paperless office features. The customer can now securely open a new account, perform any financial online transactions, sign and exchange legal agreements and documents without having to be physically present at any location. And these transactions are performed on your mobile, is highly secured by digital mobile signatures, and the added layer of security from PKI. Terima kasih banyak. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Leonard Chong, VP of Business Development at Airome Technologies, for the presentation. And if you guys want to ask a question for Mr. Leonard, you can drop your question at Q&A column. And don't forget, 10 minutes left to complete the link registration at Zoom chat. Jadi jangan lupa untuk bertanya kepada narasumber kita pada hari ini karena akan ada hadiah menarik di akhir sesi untuk para peserta yang hadir pada pagi hari ini. Alright, next we will present certificate. It's certificate for, to Mr. Leonard from Mr. Bari Arijono as Chairman DBI.
Yes, thank you very much, Pak Leonard Chong. I give an certificate to Mr. Leonard, who is willing to be the speaker of today's webinars. Please accept.
Terima kasih banyak.
You're welcome, Pak Leonard. Terima kasih kembali. And we got new insight here about the CCX, contactless customer experience. Thank you very much.
Big applause from Pak Chong.
Yeah, give applause to Mr. Leonard Chong.
Okay, our next speaker is Mr. Bambang Setiawan, Chief Digital Banking DBI. Your time is 20 menit, waktunya 20 menit Pak. Nanti juga untuk para peserta jangan lupa untuk bertanya di kolom Q&A karena akan ada hadiah spesial di akhir sesi webinar kita kali ini. Dan waktu dan tempat saya persilakan Pak Bambang.
Thank you Vika. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Our dear distinguished speakers, Mr. Ridzwan and Mr. Chong, thank you for your inspiring presentations. And also Pak Abdy, unfortunately, is just left. And Pak Bari Arijono, the chief of DBI. Good morning, Pak Vika, Pak Resti, and all audiences here. So, puji syukur kehadirat Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. Kita masih diberi kesehatan, diberi waktu untuk bertemu. We really thanks to God Almighty giving us time to meet, even still in virtual. Hopefully, maybe next time we can meet on real. Okay. My presentation basically is the end of roadmap from the first speaker, second speaker, and third speaker. As I can share here. Okay. Okay, is it clear enough? Okay, hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kelihatan
yeah. All right. Thank you. Okay. I show you a conceptual framework of banking operational excellence. On the far right, here is operational excellence. What we discussed from this morning, basically, we are going through a journey to achieve on an operational excellence. Ini karena audiensnya banyak dari Indonesia, mungkin saya juga campur-campur ya bahasanya. Jadi apa yang kita bicarakan dari pagi tadi, baik itu how to transforming digital bank, how to build customer experience, how to build CCX, contactless customer experience. Basically, we want to arrive on operational excellence. Kita ingin mencapai suatu operational excellence yang memuaskan customer kita. Ujungnya adalah untuk customer kita. Nah, seperti kalau ini saya tayangkan evolusi dari bank channels dan supporting technologies-nya. I show you evolution of banking channels and supporting technologies. From this chart, we understand that all efforts we did so far from Bank 1.0, Bank 2.0, Bank 3.0, until now we are arrived at a Bank 4.0 journey, is to create customer satisfaction, to retain, to make customer retention well, and also to bring excellence to our customers. Jadi ya ujung dari semua upaya kita ini adalah ya kepuasan nasabah. Nah, dewasa ini memang kita memasuki suatu era yang disebut digital banking. Digital banking tidak bisa kita hindari karena berbagai sebab, ya mungkin sudah dijelaskan oleh pembicara-pembicara sebelumnya. Yang pasti adalah bahwa kita tidak bisa menghindari digital banking. Kita harus melakukan transformasi karena tuntutan customer dan juga tuntutan situasi, tuntutan new normal setelah pandemi ini. Tapi digital banking has challenges. Rising digitalization continue to redefine financial landscape. Kita mesti refocus on customer experience to win sharp competition. AI-supported personal banking gradually being an imperative for banking services. Open API leads to open banking landscape, restructured banking workforce, emerging new banks, we just got from Abdy presentation, and also greater pressure on digital risk management. I would like to outline here digital risk management. Jadi perkembangnya digital banking ini juga memberikan suatu tekanan yang kuat kepada risk management, ya, risk management untuk tidak hanya sekedar menjalankan pengelolaan risiko, manajemen risiko secara biasa, tetapi harus sudah bergeser kepada digital risk management. Okay, and also to get operational excellence in the digital era, digital banking process is about doing operational banking in a faster, more reliable and secure way, more than those are to achieve agility, scalability, and sustainability of operation. What we find here in on operational excellence, to be a faster and more reliable and secure way, Airome and also Sitecore has present the way, the tools, and also efforts to achieve that. Okay, and bank efforts and investment to provide more appealing products and services for their customers must be based on the importance of operational excellence. Again, I would like to outline here the operational excellence across the business value chain. Across the business value chain, lintas seluruh value chain dari bisnis, baik apakah itu melalui itu retail customer, corporate customer, commercial customer, maupun mass customer, seluruhnya itu harus kita siapkan semua effort untuk mendukung digital banking tersebut. Ya, I would like to skip this because time constant. Ya. Nah, ini mungkin video ini bisa menjadi inspirasi about this process excellence. I would like to present this video to bring our awareness on operational process excellence. Baik, itu tadi bagaimana video tadi menunjukkan kepada kita semua bagaimana bahwa ujung dari semua upaya, semua effort itu adalah how to create customers, how to deliver quality services to our customers. So that video giving us to learn how can we have to put all efforts to create a customer satisfaction, which is now in digital era we call it customer experience. Customer experience, customer satisfactions for all our customers. Our goals, those are our goals. Basically, we need the foundation. The foundation of all of this is governance, risk management, and compliance. Jadi apapun yang kita lakukan, seluruhnya itu menuju operational excellence. Itu ada suatu fondasi penting yang tidak bisa kita abaikan dan harus betul-betul kita perkuat, yaitu GRC. GRC is the capability or integrated collection of capabilities that enables our organization to reliably achieve objectives, address uncertainty, and act with integrity, including the governance, assurance, and management of performance risk and compliance. Jadi GRC itu menjawab semua ketidakpastian, mengendalikan ketidakpastian, dan juga merupakan suatu tindakan untuk menjaga integritas. It's an act of integrity, including termasuk including the governance, assurance, and management of performance, risk, and compliance, termasuk untuk kepentingan regulator, karena bank basically bank tidak bisa lepas dari regulator, karena because bank is a highly regulated business. Okay, we skip this. Nah, governance, risk, and compliance on the early stage is more than to improve good corporate governance at that time. Yeah, good corporate governance, and internal control. But now in digital stage, governance, risk, and compliance is all efforts to improve not only good corporate governance, internal control, to manage overall risk, which is from internally or externally. Every kind of risk cannot be managed independently. Setiap resiko tidak bisa di-manage sendiri-sendiri atau silo begitu terpisah. Those risks cross over into multiple areas. Seluruh resiko itu adalah nantinya akan melintas ke multiple areas, artinya bidang-bidang yang pekerjaan dari sebuah bank, baik secara horizontal maupun secara vertikal. Nah, horizontal integrated risk management adalah suatu ability to leverage business process to build risk management capability that crosses operational functions and foster a multidisciplinary approach. Secara horizontal, integrated risk management yang diperlukan untuk menjaga proses digital banking yang aman adalah bahwa kapabilitas untuk mengelola risiko itu adalah terdapat lintas bidang, lintas divisi, lintas unit dari sebuah bank. Nah, kemudian secara vertikal, ini adalah ability to leverage business process to build risk management capability that process multi-dimension. Jadi, seluruh dimensi dari risk, dari operasional sama strategik, itu semua di dalamnya ada pengendalian risiko. Nah, itulah yang kemudian disebut sebagai integrated risk management. Suatu set of practices and process yang disupport oleh suatu budaya risiko yang diperkuat oleh teknologi untuk meningkatkan kualitas kecepatan dari suatu pengambilan keputusan dan performance melalui integrated view of organization capability untuk memanage perusahaan, memanage sebuah bank untuk mencapai suatu effort atau suatu hasil yang diharapkan. Nah, integrated risk management has 6 attributes, 6 attributes atau atribut dari risk management secara terintegrasi. Adalah yang pertama, first of all, there must be a strategy, harus ada strategi. And the second, there must be assessment, response, communication and reporting, monitoring and technology. Oke, nah, integrated risk management ini dapat digambarkan. We can show in the integrated risk management in this chart bahwa risiko di bank yang kita hadapi ya sesuai aturan Basel maupun regulasi kita adalah 8 risiko utama, yaitu credit risk, strategic risk, compliance risk, legal risk, reputational risk, operational risk, market risk, dan liquidity risk. Those are really the main risks that all banks face on their daily operation. Business units, supporting units, management, IT, and digital, third-party vendor consultants all must be controlling this risk well. Nah, ketujuh atribut dari keenam atribut dari integrated risk management itu, yang pertama yang strategi. Ya, strategi itu adalah kemampuan untuk mengimplementasikan suatu kerangka kerja dari peningkatan kinerja, tetapi tetap dapat mempertahankan governance, kualitas governance dan risk yang kuat, yang ditunjukkan dari seluruh komitmen dari direksi maupun komisaris maupun seluruh pegawai. The strategy, enablement and implementation of framework, including performance improvement through effective governance and risk ownership. And then the second is assessments. Assessments include identification, evaluation, and prioritization of risk. Jadi harus ada metode assessment-nya, metode untuk mengidentifikasi, mengukur, dan memitigasi risiko. Kemudian harus ada respons. Mekanisme untuk memitigasi risiko itu bagaimana? Response means that we have to create, we have to define the mechanism to mitigate every risk that we have in the operational. And then communicating and reporting. Communicating and reporting in this integrated risk management means that we must provide provision of the best or most appropriate means to track and inform stakeholders of an enterprise risk response. Jadi maksudnya di sini adalah bahwa dalam suatu pengendalian risiko yang terintegrasi itu, maka harus ada suatu kebijakan, suatu aturan, suatu SOP, bagaimana kita mengkomunikasikan baik kepada seluruh stakeholders mengenai respon-respon kita terhadap risiko. Jadi baik itu kepada regulator, kepada pemilik bank, maupun kepada manajemen, maupun bahkan kepada seluruh pegawai dan tentu saja kepada customer. That's why on the annual report we have to disclose about our risk management. Just come from this strategy, come from this communicating and reporting process. And then on the integrated risk management, there must be monitoring. Monitoring bahwa seluruh identifikasi, seluruh risiko itu teridentifikasi dan dapat di-track. Ya, kemudian juga ada suatu mitigasi risiko dan control risk-nya, ada pengendalian risikonya. Dan terakhir dalam integrated risk management harus ada teknologi, karena sekarang dengan size bank yang begitu besar, millions of transactions daily, so we have to provide technology to support the architecture of the integrated risk management. Okay, now World Economic Forum define the top risk of highest concern of doing business, from unemployment to failure of critical infrastructure. But the World Economic Forum put cyber attacks as the top risk, the fifth top risk. Atau World Economic Forum, ya, kelompok forum ekonomi dunia itu menempatkan global risk itu salah satunya adalah cyber attack. Nah, kenapa cyber attack ditempatkan di situ? Karena ya bahwa transaksi digital ini sudah sangat luas, sangat meningkat, sebagaimana tadi dijelaskan oleh bapak-bapak pembicara sebelumnya juga ya. Jadi maka cyber attack itu menjadi suatu kepentingan bank untuk menyikapinya. Nah, nah, kemudian dari integrated risk management itulah maka dari 8 resiko itu kemudian kita wajib untuk mengembangkan apa kita yang disebut sebagai digital risk management. Ya, resiko digital, pengendalian resiko digital, karena kita telah melakukan transformasi digital. Nah, kemudian mungkin ini yang the chart is already in English, so I will explain in bahasa to make it simpler. Bahwa dalam diskusi mengenai risiko digital itu adalah yang pertama, bahwa ini kita ibaratkan dalam suatu meeting di sebuah bank, maka yang pertama adalah bahwa mereka concern pada automation process. Ya, automation process and technology based operation expose us to big disruption. Can we ensure the sustainability and the resiliency of the operation? Jadi mereka mengatakan bahwa ya proses otomasi ini dan teknologi ini sudah kita adopsi. Apakah kita yakin ini kita bisa mencapai keamanannya, keberlanjutan dari ketangguhan dari operasi ini. Nah, kemudian concern berikutnya adalah more third parties are coming. We are utilizing them in our value chain. Who are they? What they are doing? What are they doing? Can we control them? Don't they cheat on us? Jadi kita sudah melibatkan third party, pihak ketiga dalam pengembangan value business value chain kita. Siapa sih mereka? Apa yang mereka sudah begitu masuk dalam bisnis kita, dan bagaimana kita bisa mengendalikan mereka? Nah, itu maaf sebentar. Itu concern dari digital risk tadi. Kemudian we hire more digital talent. Kita meng-hire digital talent. Mereka begitu dinamis, berbahaya nggak bagi bank itu? Cukup loyal nggak mereka? Nah, kemudian di sini salah satu ya officer bank juga punya concern. We should strongly respond to cyber attacks. Kita harus memberikan respon yang kuat untuk ada terjadinya cyber attacks. Bagaimana? How can we identify? How to measure? How to respond and prevent to attacks? Kemudian this guy must be from compliance. Mungkin ini orang dari compliance. Digital regulations are sharper even the regulatory environment keeps changing. Jadi regulasi digital ini terus dibangun, terus ada, tetapi ya bekerjaan sama praktek yang teknologi yang dikembangkan. Ya, kemudian isu lagi yang berikutnya mungkin dari orang IT, we don't even see where is our apps, and karena ada data cloud. Jadi kita nggak tahu, kita menempatkan aplikasi kita, data kita di mana, because now we use data cloud data. Nah, dari semua concern ini saya coba golongkan atau kategorikan. Maka digital risk management is about how we can measure, assess, identify, measure, assess, and mitigate those risks. Dan if we refer to 8 main risks in the bank, it is all at ujungnya to strategic risk. From the discussions, so that we can classify the digital risk is on third-party risk, cybersecurity risk, resiliency and automation risk, compliance risk, digital talent or workforce risk, cloud risk, and data privacy risk. Okay. Cybersecurity risk. Cybersecurity is risk of cyber attacks. So we cannot disregard the cyber attacks. How strong our system, cyber attacks always could run up, bisa mengejar ya, cyber attacks, kemampuan itu terus bisa berkejaran dengan cyber security yang kita gunakan. Kemudian process automations, risk related to changes in processes from automation. Resiliency, risk to availability of business operations, and third-party risk. Third-party risk, inherited risk related to external parties. Cloud risk due to the change in architecture, implementation, deployment, and or management of new digital business operations. Workforce talent risk related to the dynamic nature of today's workforce. Ini berhubungan dengan talent atau tenaga kerja digital yang kita hire, kita bekerja di bank kita, ya, dan tentu saja dengan culture yang mungkin berbeda, yang juga sangat berpengaruh dan juga akan menimbulkan risiko bagi bank kita. Kemudian risiko data privacy, risk related to personal information, dan compliance risiko, risiko karena regulasi.
Bambang, waktunya 3 menit lagi ya.
Oke, Adam. Nah, ini sengaja saya buat slide dalam bahasa Indonesia penjelasannya, mungkin bisa nanti dibaca sendiri. Dan inilah the framework from digital risk management. We should controlling attacks through effective and integrated security solution. Jadi kita harus wajib ya punya security solutions yang dapat melindungi to protecting people, data, and devices remotely. Kita juga harus mengimplementasikan third-party risk management, pengendalian risiko yang ditimbulkan oleh pihak ketiga, and then also we should adopt cloud security posture management to identify and resolve compliance breach in accordance to worldwide standards. Kemudian juga kita harus mendevelop, we should develop a resilient data and analytics strategy for an AI ready. Should establishing implement managing compliance risk of fraudulent domains and mobile apps, and also the last one is managing dynamic workforce risk. Jadi dynamic workforce dalam sistem digital ini harus kita mampu untuk memanagenya dengan bijaksana agar proses transformasi digital dapat berjalan dengan baik dan layanan digital kita yang tadi diharapkan dan sudah diuraikan oleh 3 pembicara sebelumnya itu dapat kita capai. Mungkin itu yang ingin saya sampaikan. Maaf, I'm sorry to mix up bahasa and English, I mean, because I'm concerned our audience mostly are Indonesians. Karena Bapak Ibu peserta yang hadir kebanyakan dari Indonesia, silakan pertanyaan boleh disampaikan dalam bahasa Indonesia. Terima kasih, thank you very much. Oke.
Baik, terima kasih Pak Bambang Setiawan atas pemaparan materinya. Selanjutnya kita akan memberikan sertifikat dari Bapak Bari kepada Pak Bambang.
Baik, terima kasih Pak Bambang Setiawan atas pemaparannya. Sangat luar biasa sekali.
Terima kasih.
Diterima dengan baik di sertifikat dari Digital Bank Institute, dan Bapak juga merupakan keluarga besar dari DBI yang tadi sudah diberikan oleh Vika. Mohon diterima dengan baik.
Terima kasih.
Ya, dan insight yang bisa kita peroleh, apa yang sudah dipaparkan oleh Bapak Bambang Setiawan selaku Chief Digital Banking dari DBI, kita mengenal dari Integrated Risk Management menjadi Digital Risk Management atau DRM, ya Pak Bambang ya. Baik, semoga bermanfaat. Silakan Mbak Vika dilanjutkan.
Baik, thank you Mr. Bari and Mr. Bambang for the presentation and hands to certificate. Now we will move on to the Q&A session. Question and list sudah ada di beberapa kolom Q&A, dan juga thank you for your participant to complete the link registration at the Zoom chat session, and jangan kemana-mana karena nanti di akhir sesi akan ada pengumuman pemenang, ya peserta yang beruntung akan mendapatkan door prize. Oke, this is a Q&A session. Untuk pertanyaan yang pertama. Oke, for the first question from Winda Lestari from East Lombok. Permission to ask, is our banking data really safe with the implementation of digital banking? Please explain, because many people are still afraid to use digital banking. I think this question maybe will answer to Mr. Leonard Chong, because it's about secure data to use, because many people in Indonesia are still afraid to use digital banking.
Yeah, okay, so we have to understand that cybersecurity is emerging as the main threat in this digital environment. Okay, so the more digitally immersed we are, the more exposed we are to cyber attacks. So the damages caused by cyber attacks affects really everybody, right? Okay, so in order to mitigate the risk of cyber attacks, banks and regulators jointly will have to take the following actions, right? So we are looking at education. Okay, so there should be awareness and training. Okay, it is really necessary, right, to ingrain or educate people like us, the consumers, of the risks that cyber attacks pose, and that is impossible to protect ourselves 100%. Okay, people like us, consumers, represent the first line of cyber defense. Okay, so I mean, things like, you don't open up a phishing email, a suspicious email, you don't respond to a suspicious SMS, stuff like that. Okay, or someone gives you a call asking for your one-time password, you don't share details like this. So it's all down to educating. Okay, in fact, more than 70% of cyber attacks exploit non-technical vulnerabilities. Okay, so they really attack people like us who don't really know much about how we can protect ourselves. So education is key. Okay, and this is something which the banks and the regulators will have to embark on this program to educate the people. And the next thing is having the correct business mindset. Okay, so to fight this cyber war, companies must understand the risks that they face and develop really solid defense mechanisms. Okay, because at the end of the day, a cyber attack can result in losses not only economically, but also to a bank's reputation, brand, and competitive position. And lastly, I think it's important to have regulation, coordination, and reporting. Given that cyber risks are mostly cross-border, international cooperation between governments and the private sector is essential to effectively guarantee security and protection in cyberspace, while improving interoperability and management capacity. So, just to sum up, I think it's really down to education, I believe. Yeah, because you can have the best defense mechanisms in your bank to protect data, but then, like I said earlier, most of this are 70% of cyber attacks exploit non-technical vulnerabilities. So it's people like us who don't know how to manage cyber risk, right?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Leonard. The education is the main purpose for the digital banking for the secure, ya. And there will be a regulation too to secure the from each digital banking. Terkait dengan regulasi juga ada pertanyaan untuk Pak Bambang dari Bapak Sugeng Haryadi. Yang pertama, Pak Bambang, bagaimana regulasi perbankan di Indonesia terkait dengan fenomena digital banking? How about the regulation in Indonesia, especially for digital banking, dan bank di Indonesia mana yang ready, yang sudah siap gitu ya untuk digital banking? Apakah akan ada bank Axis yang bakal hilang? Is there will be Axis Bank will be disappear if the new bank transform into digital banking? Please, Mr. Bambang.
Thank you, Vika. Thank you, Pak Sugeng Haryadi. Terima kasih atas pertanyaannya. Regulasi perbankan sudah terus disusun, terus ada untuk menyikapi perkembangan digital banking di Indonesia. Namun harus kita akui, dan OJK serta Bank Indonesia pun mengakui bahwa aturan ini masih berkejaran dengan prakteknya, karena teknologi adopsi teknologi adoption dan penerapannya itu jauh lebih cepat daripada regulasinya. Tetapi itu akan terus dibuat. Ya, contoh yang terbaru ya Bank Indonesia itu dalam blueprint sistem pembayaran 2025 sudah memasukkan open banking. Ya, karena nanti kita nggak ada suatu keadaan di mana perbankan itu dan fintech saling terhubung dan wajib saling terhubung, karena untuk membangun suatu kesetaraan dalam persaingan, atau bahasa Inggrisnya competitive on the same level of playing field. Tapi aturan ini belum ada, dan saat ini pun masih dibuat oleh suatu working group. Dan kembali ya kesimpulannya ya ini terus saling berkejaran. Tetapi OJK khususnya itu sudah mulai banyak membuat aturan-aturan mengenai digital banking. Kemudian tadi pertanyaan Pak Tony ya, Pak Tony Rianto ya.
Sugeng tadi Pak yang
Pak Sugeng ya, Pak Sugeng. Pertanyaannya ada tapi kok sudah hilang ya. Ada saya catat tadi ya. Kemudian pertanyaannya apakah ada bank yang akan hilang? Ini juga sekaligus nanti ada menjawab pertanyaan dari partisipan lainnya. Tadi sempat saya baca, terutama pertanyaan dari Pak Muhammad Sumarsono ya, pertanyaan pertanyaan dari Pak Muhammad Sumarsono tadi, sama seperti itu, bahwa dengan perkembangannya digital banking ini bagaimana nasib bank-bank buku satu, ya, sama. Jadi kalau itu pertanyaannya, saya sebagai orang yang independen, sebagai ya sekarang bankir independen ya, itu ya harus dengan berat hati saya sampaikan akan banyak yang bank buku satu disappear, akan ya hilang lah. Apa ya, jangan dibilang begitulah. Artinya akan paling tidak berganti nama, ya, paling tidak berganti nama. Ya kita tahu saja, Bank Artos sudah ganti nama jadi Bank Jago. Kemudian mungkin ada Bank Kesejahteraan Ekonomi menjadi apa, Neobank atau apa. Ya, jadi mereka disappear, mau nggak mau, karena bank buku satu tidak bisa untuk bisa merespon perkembangan digital ini dengan kuat, dengan kekuatan yang ada. Jadi itu mesti akan terdisrupsi dan terdilusi juga. Ya, tapi akan berganti nama, salin rupa menjadi digital bank. Tetapi jangan khawatir, bank buku satu justru sekarang menjadi idola, karena ya banyak yang ingin memilikinya karena akan diubah menjadi bank digital. Juga tadi ada pertanyaan, cuman di question and answer-nya kok hilang ya? Yang
di answer-nya kali Pak, yang mana Pak yang hilang Pak?
Ya Pak Sugeng.
Oke.
Pak Sugeng juga, Pak yang lain tadi ada banyak, ada Pak Sumarsono juga tanya, hilang sendiri nih ya.
Pak.
Tapi nggak apa-apa, saya ikut Mbak Ivika aja. Iya, iya.
Oke, apa mau dibacain Pak yang Bapak Muhammad Sumarsono?
Oh iya.
Boleh ya. Selamat siang Pak Bambang. Menurut Bapak, apakah bank-bank siap dengan digital banking ini, terutama bank-bank buku satu? Apalagi dengan bank-bank kecil seperti BPR, karena harus menyiapkan begitu banyak sarana dan prasarana, pengawasan, pengembangan risk management, dan lain-lain. Thank you, salam sukses.
Salam sukses Pak Sumarsono. Ya, kalau pertanyaannya itu ya kembali saya jujur sampaikan belum siap. Ya, mereka belum siap. Maka kita membantu dengan ya sosialisasi, dengan training, dengan seminar-seminar, webinar seperti ini adalah membangkitkan semangat mereka bahwa ini sebetulnya bisa dilaksanakan dan tidak investasinya memang bagaimanapun juga diperlukan yang cukup besar untuk bisa membangun digital banking yang kuat, yang aman. Nah, untuk BPR dalam situasi sekarang ini, dalam pasar perbankan sekarang ini, ada sektor-sektor di pasar yang ada segmen-segmen di pasar yang sebetulnya mereka juga belum siap digital. Nah, itu mungkin pasar-pasar itu yang masih bisa dilayani. Walaupun harus kita sadari juga bahwa segmen-segmen pasar yang masih memerlukan layanan manual itu juga lama-kelamaan mereka akan bertransformasi ke digital juga, karena mereka akan merasakan kemudahan layanan digital sehingga mereka juga menginginkan banknya itu bertransformasi. Jadi ya mau nggak mau bank harus melakukan transformasi meskipun tidak sekaligus. Nah,
from Tori Rianto, on last page presentation there is agile method to accommodate DCX process. Is this method is the best one, or is there any other method, such as waterfall, especially for complex on multi-project implementation? This question for Mr. Auzani.
Terima kasih Ibu Vika. Thank you Pak Tori. So to answer that question, the simple answer, my always answer, it depends. Both waterfall and agile typically will be used in different types of scenarios. From what we have seen, for example, an initial investment in, let's say, a technology platform would typically be a waterfall type of model. And that's because there's, for example, a re-platform, or for example, a migration of content into new systems, or integration of your existing systems to, let's say, a new technology. But then they will start with, for example, marketing campaigns. So let's say their first campaign is to do an email blast to a targeted audience. So that will be more of a sprint-based or an agile-based method, where they, let's say, they start with, let's say, 1 or 2 audiences. They craft, for example, the email messages, they send it out, and then maybe they wait one or 2 weeks, see the results, and then use the analytics or the results of that campaign to then improve the next sprint for the next campaign, maybe for the next 2 audiences that they target. So that's sort of like how we've seen has been successful. And again, this comes back from the concept that the marketing has to be data-driven, and therefore what you do needs to be based on the data and results of what you do. So you cannot do a waterfall because it will take too long. So if you run a campaign, you cannot wait for the analytics, let's say a month later, before you improve it. You need to see the analytics in real time so that you can make the adjustments very quickly. So that's sort of like where the agile method becomes effective. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Mr. Auzani. Hope the question answered to Mr. Tori or Miss Tori. All right, for the next question is from BGB Bank, Asep Rukmana. I think this question to Mr. Leonard, how we prevent the cyber attack, as always dynamic, especially in cyber attack, and how Airome make sure the online banking users are always protected from the first, how we prevent the cyber attack, Mr. Leonard.
Can you repeat that? I didn't really get it.
Okay, Mr. Leonard, this question from BGB Bank, from Asep Rukmana, how we prevent the cyber attack, where is cyber attack is always dynamic, and how Airome make sure the online banking users are always protected. How about the protection system from Airome?
Okay, so what we do at Airome is we have a we have a transaction confirmation solution. Okay, in terms of you use your mobile basically as your own personal digital signature. Okay, so we have something called Pay Confirm, which is basically a mobile transaction authentication signature solution that uses asymmetric cryptography. Okay, so it allows bank's customer, for example, to confirm their transactions using their mobile. So what's happening now is, when you need to confirm any transactions, you typically get your SMS OTP, or you use one of your tokens, right? So as I mentioned during my presentation, these 2FA confirmation methods are really outdated and not user friendly, because they are very vulnerable to digital fraud. Okay, so with our Pay Confirm solution, your mobile, okay, becomes your own personal confirmation signature. Okay, so meaning that only you can confirm the transaction, because only you can access your mobile. Yeah, so that's how we protect, okay, users from this cyber attacks or fraudsters from attacking your account takeovers and stuff like that. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Okay, thank you, Mr. Leonard. There's question from Asep Rukmana, or the question answered from Mr. Leonard Chong. And for the next question is from, okay, let me check. Okay, Jakub Handoko. this question to Mr. Bambang. Selamat siang, Bapak Bambang. Bagaimana atau antisipasi dari digital banking dengan teknologi blockchain? Karena masih tarik ulur terkait dengan ini.
Ya, terima kasih Pak Yakub Handoko atas pertanyaannya. Teknologi digital banking memang beragam ya, artinya dari providernya bisa macam-macam, teknologinya yang digunakan juga bisa berbagai macam teknologi. Ya pasti dia bisa mengantisipasi, bisa memfasilitasi blockchain transaction, cryptocurrency dan sebagainya. Tetapi memang regulasinya kita belum ada di Indonesia dan jelas Bank Indonesia melarang itu karena prinsipnya Bank Indonesia sesuai undang-undang bahwa currency yang berlaku di Indonesia adalah rupiah. Jadi blockchain ataupun cryptocurrency dan sebagainya belum bisa. Tapi kalau secara teknologi ya pasti itu bisa dilakukan. Tetapi juga kalau kita berada di sebuah bank itu kita harus pisahkan transaksi-transaksi yang spekulatif ya sesuai aturan Bank Indonesia. Maka ya karena itulah mungkin kalau blockchain di dalam digital banking di Indonesia ya, kembali saya bicara di Indonesia, mungkin ya kita belum bisa adopsi itu. Entah 2 atau 1 tahun ke depan, 2 tahun ke depan bagaimana regulator menyikapi ini kita tunggu saja. Tapi ya kalau di Indonesia belum bisa kita lakukan. Nah ini di sini ada ahlinya blockchain sebetulnya ya Pak Bari Arijono ini yang nanti mungkin pada waktunya bisa ikut menjawab. Ya.
Baik, mungkin nanti setelah ini Pak Bari bisa menambahkan
pada
gitu
waktu,
ya.
Ya. Pada waktu panel discussion.
Yes. There is more question, but it's to Mr. Bambang.
Okay.
Kebanyakan dari mostly Mr. Bambang from DCB Gilang Juliana. Izin bertanya Pak Bambang, apakah saat ini sudah ada teknologi yang dapat membantu menjaga integritas perusahaan?
Integritas perusahaan atau integritas personal nih. Kalau integritas perusahaan, banyak teknologi yang bisa digunakan. Banyak teknologi yang bisa digunakan. Karena ya artificial intelligence itu salah satunya. Itu kan bisa digunakan basisnya artificial intelligence, basisnya bisa digunakan untuk melihat, untuk mengevaluasi, untuk mengidentifikasi ataupun juga untuk mencatat ya bagaimana perusahaan bersikap ya, kemudian dari transaksinya, dari keputusannya. Nah itu teknologi itu dia bisa menyaring, bisa menseleksi dan juga bisa menyajikan informasinya yang diperlukan oleh regulator biasanya ya, regulator ataupun pemilik perusahaan. Tetapi apakah di Indonesia sudah diterapkan? Pada beberapa bank besar itu sudah ada yang menggunakan, cuman saya nggak bisa disclose siapa itu. Nah itu kalau perusahaan. Kalau integritas personal ini yang sulit, karena integritas personal adanya di dada, di batin, di hati orang. Jadi itu yang nggak bisa masuk. Paling yang bisa dibantu oleh teknologi adalah dengan cara melihat ataupun menganalisa dari behavior ya, behaviornya di media sosial, behaviornya di transaksi, behaviornya dalam discussion, itu paling bisa di sana. Tapi sampai ke integritas batinnya ya pasti saya yakin teknologi yang sempurna belum ada. Karena teknologi yang ya katakanlah lying detector itu kan juga bisa, tapi ternyata itu juga bisa diakali juga oleh manusia, sehingga belum bisa. Saya rasa ada tapi belum bisa sempurna. Terima kasih, Mbak Vika.
Baik, terima kasih Pak Bambang. Di sini ada beberapa pertanyaan lagi gitu ya. Kita akan pilih terlebih dahulu.
Yang Pak Tony Rianto itu bagus pertanyaannya.
Oh, oke. Okay.
Yang third party.
From Pak Tori again.
Yeah.
One of negotiation on digitalized service from personnel or third party or supplier, should the company or bank tighten on NDA as a part of risk management process, or any other solution can be made?
Pak, okay, Pak Tori, very good question. Yeah, third party risk. Yeah, I've presented in my presentation. Saya tayangkan tadi. Third party risk ini memang salah satunya dengan lebih kuat lagi di NDA. Nah, NDA itu harus isinya jangan standar itu. Kalau NDA itu isinya standar saja, ya gampang sekali itu, langsung aja diteken. Nah, nanti Pak Tori ataupun teman-teman yang di perbankan, kalau ingin membuat NDA, dicek lagi di dalamnya, termasuk bikinlah pasal-pasal yang mengikat mereka, supaya mereka akan tetap berlaku tertib selama bekerja dengan kita. Nah, ketertiban itu apa? Bisa diwujudkan dengan KPI yang jelas. Jadi mereka third party itu harus punya KPI yang jelas juga. Kemudian juga syarat-syarat kerja yang lainnya yang lebih kuat. Ya. Kemudian juga ada SLA yang jelas, service level agreement yang jelas. Kadang-kadang kita kalau sama third party sering sungkan, ya tidak mau membuat SLA yang jelas, itu perlu kita lakukan. Kemudian juga kontrak MOU-nya juga harus memuat hal-hal yang harus dilakukan oleh third party itu, termasuk proteksi data perusahaan, data bank kita, maupun data nasabah kita, data pegawai kita, data pemilik perusahaan, pemilik bank juga, shareholders, dan juga transaksi-transaksinya, dan mereka nggak bisa disclose itu. Dan harus dibuatkan ancamannya, ya, penaltinya kalau mereka lakukan itu. Ya bukan jangan umum. Kalau umum itu kan mudah, bahwa akan diajukan kepada secara hukum. Itu kalimat standar. Kita mesti jelaskan saja. Kalau terjadi kebocoran karena yang disebabkan oleh Anda, maka penalti sebesar sekian, ya berapa tentukan saja. Ya, lalu ya biasanya mereka takut sih, ya takut. Tapi kalau itu kita stated, mereka akan lebih tertib. Ini kan menyangkut bagaimana menertibkan third party kita. Ya, karena third party bisa datang dan pergi. Ya, pengalaman saya ya di bank-bank yang pernah saya pimpin, ya kadang-kadang mereka orang-orang pinternya kalau ada tawari gaji yang lebih tinggi di konsultan lain, ya dia pindah gitu. Nah itu yang kita pihak bank yang harus memanage dengan baik. Bahwa paling tidak termasuk availability dari resource person, availability dari orang-orang yang memegang kunci dari pengetahuan, dari skill yang ditransfer itu harus ada, dan kalau tidak harus menyediakan yang setara kemampuannya. Jangan sampai orangnya pindah, diganti orang baru yang nggak tahu apa-apa, nanti kita semua yang repot. Ya. Mungkin itu Pak Tori, ini bicara third party risk ini sebetulnya luas sekali. Ya mungkin suatu saat nanti kita bikin khusus webinar mengenai how to mitigate third party risk. Karena third party risk itu udah banyak untuk memberikan contohnya yang memberikan trouble, ya. Gitu. Ya saya pernah alami juga, mungkin Bapak Ibu di bank-bank lain juga pernah alami. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bambang. And from the another question from Neni Wahyuni, is it okay to Mr. Auzani that I will speak to bahasa?
Bisa.
Okay, this from Neni Wahyuni. Digitalisasi identik dengan banyak feature, yang dimiliki. Bagaimana caranya dengan banyaknya feature yang diberikan kepada nasabah, tetapi tingkat gangguannya rendah, misalnya problem, masalah dari aplikasi tersebut, tentunya juga selain dengan kemampuan IT atau teknologi yang dimiliki ditingkatkan.
I briefly understand that, but maybe if you can translate so that I confirm I understand that.
Okay, there is more feature in identification digitalization. There's so many feature, but how the customer, how we how the customer use the identification digitalization to the problem minimum from the application. So how we prevent the problem from the application.
Okay, so let me try to answer that. So a lot of the digital experiences, for example, things like personalization and all of that, first doesn't actually need any identity information on the customer or the prospect. So a lot of digital marketing features can actually be done based on anonymous behaviors. So I don't need like your name, your address, your phone numbers, and any of that. For example, we can do things based on your behaviors, based on what you are looking at, based on where you came from, or even simple things like what device you're on or where you are from a geo-IP perspective. And in a lot of examples, that has been very effective to sort of like convert or to draw the attention of users to your products and services. I think the other part of the question is along the lines of, with all those features, if I'm not mistaken, how do we prevent, for example, disruption to, let's say, your IT infrastructure? Or I guess the question is, do I need a lot of horsepower from a computing perspective to deliver all of these experiences? So the answer to that, again, is to be smart from the architecture perspective. So if we take the traditional approach of having, say, I need a server, this server needs this computing power and this storage, then definitely there's no way you can scale to deliver those experiences. And at the end of the day, even though if you're doing all this personalization, you may be delivering a negative experience if, for example, the experience is slow, is non-responsive, your app hangs and all that. So with the advancement in technology, for example, with Sitecore, we normally would leverage, it's really about looking at the architecture or how we deliver those experiences. So one example is, as I mentioned earlier, to leverage what we call this MARC design. So this microservices-based design, this API-first cloud and headless. So what this means is that instead of having a monolithic solution that has to do everything, you can separate out different functions to run as different set of services. And then you only need to deliver those experiences, and that will only use, for example, the required resources or those particular functions. And really what this means is that you can also mix and match different capabilities, again, according to where you are in the maturity. So for example, day one, you may not need AI services. You don't need like to do machine learning or data crunching yet. You just want to start with the basics of maybe rule-based personalization. Then as your infrastructure grows, then you can add on those other capabilities by leveraging other services. Technology-wise, again, there's many ways that we can do that. For example, in Sitecore, we've invested in deploying what we call an experience edge. So the idea is that the delivery of the customer experience can actually be delivered through a SaaS-based service. So your actual content creation, the data of your customers can be secured, for example, in your on-premise IT infrastructure. So that is not affected by scale. So as you have more customers, those infrastructure, it doesn't need to grow to support that. But the experience that the customer, for example, accesses on the mobile app, on the website, is actually delivered through a cloud-based SaaS service. So what we mean by that, content delivery is accelerated by a CDN, but also the data and the content, the API services also sits on this CDN or on this cloud service. And then again, we leverage, for example, the scalability of the cloud and all that. And then from an IT perspective as well, there are advancements in technology in the sense that we don't need to rely on server-based technologies anymore. So for example, in Sitecore, we've evolved to utilize container-based technologies. So things such as Kubernetes and Dockers that allows, for example, your different functionality and applications to be scaled in a more DevOps type of environment rather than the traditional server-based and IT-dependent deployment. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Auzani. To Miss Neni Wahyuni ya, semoga terjawab. Memang Sitecore is the only company bringing to content, commerce, and data into one connected. So the platform delivers millions of digital experience every day. So digital identification yang Bu Neni tanyakan, semoga ini bisa menjawab pertanyaannya. Okay, next question is from Firman BTB. This question to Mr. Leonard is there a system that can prevent fraud in digital transaction?
Yeah, I mean, there are many systems available in the market that prevents fraud. Yeah, so at the end of the day, when we look at fraud prevention, and typically what companies do is they do something called defense in depth. Okay, so you have many layers. You have your firewalls, your IP access, and all that. And then you have your other layers of fraud prevention. So there's no one specific solution out in the market, but it's a combination of hybrid solution that provides, like I said, defense in depth. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Leonard. Maybe it's for the last question. I don't know if for who, but the question is permission for asking question. In your opinion, how many % Indonesian people could accept this digital banking? How far they are ready for the new type banking?
Maybe I just want to say something here. I think, Indonesia is like the largest economy in Southeast Asia, right? And I think you have a unbanked population of about 180 million people, okay? And I think half of these are under the age of 30, okay? And I think another very interesting statistic out of Indonesia is there are more mobile phones than bank accounts, okay? So there's a huge potential in the market. I think Indonesians are generally getting to be more digitally inclusive. I mean, as I mentioned in my presentation, they are more IT savvy, digitally savvy. So I think if you look at the demographics, there is a huge potential in Indonesia. I mean, that's the reason why Airome has invested time in Indonesia. Okay, I think the whole digital transformation scene, the whole digital environment is really vibrant in Indonesia. So I don't see why people won't accept digital banking, because at the end of the day it makes their lives easier, and Indonesian people are, like I said, are very digitally savvy. So I think they would be open to accepting digital banking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, thank you, Mr. Leonard. Jadi memang kalau dilihat dari persentase itu justru tinggi sekali gitu ya untuk masyarakat Indonesia. Karena tadi di materi pertama pun dari Bang Permata, dari Bapak Abdi gitu ya, increase-nya sangat tinggi sekali, bisa 5 kali lipat dalam kurun waktu kurang dari 3 tahun gitu ya. Jadi memang sangat besar sekali untuk perkembangan digital khususnya bank gitu ya, perbankan di Indonesia. Itu tadi last question untuk para peserta. Yang mana nih Pak?
Tadi Pak,
ini kita sudah jawab semua
habis,
nih.
oh.
Oke, sudah habis. Oke, aku down
yang
dulu
semuanya. Betul.
Sudah dijawab oleh
Pak Firman.
Mr. Leonard ya. Pak Firman sudah dijawab. Thank you for all the participants to drop your question from the Q&A column. And maybe for the last session will be there are the prize, but maybe Mr. Bari will akan menambahkan sedikit pernyataan atau closing statement.
I think it's enough for today's sessions, and we move on to closing with lucky draw first. And I hope Pak Bambang Setiawan also can give us some comment, feedback, closing statement, please, Pak Bambang Setiawan, if you don't mind.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thanks to all speakers, Pak Abdy, Salimin, Mr. Ridzwan, ya, Auzani Ridzwan, Mr. Leonard Chong, and also moderator, Mr. Bari Arijono, and of course, our very smart MC, Miss Vika Kuen, Mbak Vika, and Mbak Resi as well.
Terima kasih Pak.
Yeah.
Terima kasih Bapak.
This webinar today is really giving inspiration and also motivation to all Indonesian bankers attended this webinar to develop digital banking within their banks. Not just develop digital banking in a way to digitize the manual process, but also as what we heard from Pak Abdy, the digital means digital in front end and also in the back end. So we often thinking that digitalization is just to digitize the front end. Means that you can use smartphone to doing bank transaction. Not only that way, but the digitalization means that on the back end as well, and front end, back end, and the most important thing that we should transform digitalization in our mind. We have to develop a digital mindset. If not, that we are not succeed on doing digital banking transformation. And also we learn from Airome how can we make security, secure the consumer contactless, and also customer experience is not easy, but we can do that as we learn from Auzani Ridzwan. Yeah. So thank you very much, and for all participants as well. Hopefully Indonesian banking will be better, will be better and also secure on doing digital banking, because as we learn from the data from our speakers today, the not ready ones is getting reduced, but the ready ones to digital transactions is getting up. Jadi yang siap untuk digital banking itu sekarang menjadi lebih banyak karena juga kondisi pandemi, juga karena kemudahan bertransaksi. Jadi ini termasuk menjawab pertanyaan-pertanyaan tadi yang concern bagaimana nasib buku 1, PPR dan sebagainya. Ini harus kita betul-betul pertimbangkan karena kita sering salah mempersepsikan bahwa yang siap digital itu masih sedikit, ternyata tidak. Ternyata sekarang dari hari ke hari makin naik dan peningkatannya itu sangat tinggi. Ya. Jadi, nah tapi kemudian juga kita harus sadari bahwa we have to aware that digital banking transformation, doing digital banking, implement digital banking, we must have a strong foundation on governance, integrated risk management, and compliance. If not, we will create troubles to our banks. Thank you very much. Back to Mbak Vika.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Bambang, for the closing statement, and thank you for our speakers today, Mr. Auzani and Mr. Leonard Chong. And we will move to the to find out the lucky participant to win the door prize. Congratulations to Fabio Surya Putra, Gatot Prasetyo, Gilang Juliana, Winda Lestari, Asep Rukmana, Tori Rianto, Sugeng Haryadi. Also, congratulations to Sugeng Haryadi, Muhammad Sumarsono, Yakub Handoko, Neni Wahyuni, Nurlita Dewi, and Firman from DTB for the good question. Thank you for your question, and please contact us to receive your prize at a Zoom chat session. There's Ibu Resti, Ms. Resti, or contact me to receive your prize. Okay, once again, thank you. Congratulations to Fabio, Gatot, Gilang Juliana, Winda Lestari, Asep Rukmana, Tori Rianto, Sugeng Haryadi, Muhammad Sumarsono, Jakub Handoko, Neni Wahyuni, Nurlita Dewi, and Firman. Okay, so lucky winners, and then we will go to the who will win the lucky door prize. There will be 10 door prize. Okay, this wheel of fortune. Okay, ready? Okay. The lucky number 1. Congratulations to Ahmad Fajar.
Pak Ahmad Fajar.
Okay. For the second, congratulations to Budi Imam, our lucky participant. And for the third lucky participant, the winner, Muk Tunggawa. Okay. For the first, okay, the winner, the next winner, R.A. Dian Agustianti. Congratulations. And for the fifth winner, congratulations to Iwan Risman. Baik, untuk pemenang yang ke-6, akan ada 10 pemenang yang akan mendapatkan door prize ya. Selamat kepada Eko Susepiono. Oke. Untuk pemenang yang ke-7, selamat kepada Yudi Mulyana. selamat kepada Yudi Mulyana. Jangan lupa untuk mengirimkan nama lengkapnya, kontak panitia yang ada di kolom chat Zoom. Oke, yang ketujuh ada Bapak Syarifuddin. Baik, untuk pemenang ke-8. Pemenang ke-8, selamat kepada Bernard Makasak. Oke, baik. Oke, 8 ya. Itu tadi nama-nama yang sudah disebutkan oleh saya. Jangan lupa sudah mencantumkan nama dan juga nomor telepon untuk mengkontak salah satu admin yang ada di Zoom chat, di Zoom chat section. Di sana ada Ibu Resti, ataupun bisa langsung di Zoom chat kontak ke saya. Oke, itu dia rangkaian acara dari How to Create Customer Experience, Secure Contactless, and Risk Management in the Era 4.0. Terima kasih sekali, saya Vika Kuen, senang sekali dapat memandu acara ini selama beberapa jam tadi, gitu ya. It was only a while ago when I start this event, and now I have to end this too. Thank you all. Thank you to all the speakers and moderator who led the discussion. Hopefully today, Mrs. will bring us benefit and the growth of bank digitalization more even faster. I'm Vika Kuen, would like to sign off. Thank you, good afternoon, and goodbye everyone. Thank you
Thank you
for
so
our
much.
speakers today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the panelists. Auzani, Pak
Terima kasih,
Bambang,
Mbak
Leonard.
Resti, Mbak Vika.
Terima kasih Mbak Vika, Mas Bari.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih
Have a
Mr.
good day.
Auzani, Mr. Leonard.
Pak Tori itu teman saya di Avaya dulu tuh.
Di mana?
Oh, oke.
Tori Rianto. Teman saya di Avaya, lulusan US Communication. Oke. Ya, terima kasih Pak Leonard, Chong, Pak Bambang Setiawan,
Thank you.
Auzani untuk sesi pada webinar hari ini. Thank you very much, Pak Leonard.
Thank you very much.
Very appreciate
Thank
ya.
you.
Mohon maaf atas
Vision,
kekurangan
support, so far.
kekurangannya jika ada.
Yeah, hopefully we can continue to discuss business partnerships with the Airomes moving forward.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Pak Leonard.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Take
Leonard.
care.
Bye.
Leonard. Dan juga ini ada mahasiswa-mahasiswa saya yang juga ternyata ikut bergabung ya dari kampus IBS.
Ada Ibu
Indonesia
Tutu,
Banking School.
Ibu Dr. Kusumaning Tuti,
Ya,
rektornya
Ibu Ketua.
IBS sudah hadir.
Ibu Ketua kampus IBS juga tadi sempat hadir.
Pak Ahmad Fajar ya dari Bank Victoria.
Bank Victoria juga sempat hadir tadi.
Mendapat door prize juga.
Ya. Oh, mendapat door prize Pak Ahmad Fajar ya.
Iya.
Selamat Pak Ahmad Fajar, Bapak Direktur Utama Bank Victoria. Dan
Terima kasih kepada para penanya
Ya.
dan semua peserta yang sudah hadir. Mohon maaf atas kekurangannya. Kita
Ya.
bertemu di
Tadi
webinar yang lain.
Nurlita Dewi juga mahasiswi kampus IBS yang bertanya.
Oh, oke. Banyak
Muhammad
mahasiswa-mahasiswi dari DBS ya?
Ya, Muhammad Punggawa yang mendapat door prize itu juga mahasiswa IBS.
Iya. Pada Bank BJB juga yang sudah hadir. Bank Permata yang sudah hadir, terima kasih.
Ya,
atas
dari Bank
partisipasinya.
Danamon juga tadi hadir ya. Bank BJB, Bank Jago di awal.
Ya.
Ya.
Bang
Oke.
Jago. Bang Jago tuh
Bang
dari
Jago
Bang apa
ada.
ya?
Ada Mas Gatot Prastio, Mas Oti.
Oke,
Baik, kita sudahi sesi kita webinar kali ini. Thank you very much,
Thank you very
Vika, Resti, terima kasih banyak
Terima
ya.
banyak semua, Pak Bambang, Mas Bari, Bu Resti.
Alhamdulillah.
Ya, thank you. All
Sukses
the team.
acaranya.
Thank you,
Panitia,
Alhamdulillah.
Mas Randy, supportnya
Mas Randy,
makasih
Mas
banyak
Gali.
di belakang layar.
Ya, terima kasih Mas Gali, Mas Randy.
Ya, oke.
Aku izin.
Alhamdulillah sukses.
Ya, ke depan nanti.
Ya, Pak Bambang, Setiawan, Ayahanda, terima kasih banyak
Thank
sudah
you,
memberikan
Ananda,
partisipasi
Pak
tadi.
Farid,
Kita izin pamit.
Ananda Resti,
Terima kasih Anda.
Jadi, kalau ada hal yang
Mohon
kurang,
maaf, saya juga. Mohon maaf kami dari panitia juga ya Anda. Kalau kurang
ya ada nggak panitia sih oke banget.
Panelis juga oke.
Saya minta maaf tadi bahasanya campur-campur gitu, karena kadang-kadang karena ingat pesertanya orang Indonesia semua gitu, ingin menyampaikan pesan supaya tersampaikan gitu, perlu bahasa Indonesia.
Ya. Nggak apa-apa ya, Anda campur sari kan ya.
Pak Tori tadi pertanyaannya bagus mengenai NDA itu.
Iya, Pak Tori Rianto. Beliau project manager sewaktu bekerja di Avaya Indonesia.
Sekarang di mana ya beliau?
Sekarang kurang tahu Pak Torinya bekerja di mana. Nanti saya kontak.
Jadi ada Pak Sumarsono, pakar accounting, auditor Indonesia.
Iya, Pak Sumarsono tadi hadir.
Ya, saya juga minta maaf juga jawab agak terbata-bata karena agak sensitif menjawab pertanyaan mengenai Bank Buku 1 dan BPR karena ya
baik.
Secara reality ya nasabah itu makin tahu digital banking ya kalau banknya tidak menyediakan itu ya mereka pindah. Dan itulah yang menyebabkan Bank Buku 1 dan di BPR akan disappear.
Ya, juga nanti kita sampaikan e-certificate ke semua peserta ya, Teh Resti.
Ya, betul.
Oke.
Di email peserta. Ya.
Oke, baik. Kita tinggalkan layar Zoom webinar.
Kita tutup ya. Ini pesertanya juga masih banyak yang on ini.
Iya, nggak apa-apa.
Terima kasih
kita
Bapak, Ibu, Mas, Mbak-mbak semua.
Ya, terima kasih peserta yang sudah hadir sampai selesai.
Selamat pada pemenang yang beruntung juga.
Ya, selamat kepada pemenang yang beruntung. Tuh, Teh Resti. Saya ingin pamit dulu.
berjalan, memilih tanpa keraguan. Hidup ini aku yang tentukan. Kita berlari bersama ke depan. 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 Stop
In a world where digital can be the difference between surviving and not, brands need the flexibility and control to deliver and evolve customer engagements rapidly. Customers today expect personalized experiences that align with their in-the-moment needs. With Sitecore Experience Platform 10, brands have everything they need to meet these expectations by swiftly launching and evolving memorable digital experiences. A fully integrated solution, Sitecore XP10 is the leading platform that creates efficiencies for both marketing and IT, enabling the collaboration that drives success. The introduction of Sitecore containers increases efficiency in solution and team onboarding and enables infrastructure as code deployments. Delivery teams can now easily move to a continuous delivery model. Sitecore XP10's powerful data capabilities and out-of-the-box connectors empower teams to aggregate customer and content interaction data, turning insight into action that drives personalized engagements and results. By deploying on the scalable, secure, and reliable Microsoft Cloud, teams can speed time to market and lower total cost of ownership. Front-end developers will appreciate how quickly they can build headless and hybrid headless experiences with headless options such as Sitecore JavaScript SDK and a new ASP.NET Core SDK. With a next-generation editing experience, exciting new options for solutions delivery, and everything marketers need to deploy data-informed updates, Sitecore XP10 is the most powerful digital experience platform on the market today. Discover
romantic. All in all, a nice guy. One day, somebody gave him a job in the bank. But this guy has a short memory. He keeps forgetting payment details. He only delivers one code at a time, one message at a time, one message, one transaction. And he is constantly being late. And if he is far away, he may not even make it to the recipient. Well, never mind. We all have come to terms with it. Yet there are some serious issues. Firstly, he is careless. If someone uses a proxy to reissue a customer's SIM card, he starts going the wrong way, and so does all the money. It is the same with fake websites. A fake link makes us think we are on the bank's website, while what we are in fact doing is handing our money to cyber criminals. Secondly, he is trusting. A call from cyber criminals who introduce themselves as a bank security team and ask to read aloud the codes from SMS. And there you are, dictating the code and ending up with no money. Well, intercepting an SMS on its way to your phone is a piece of cake. Not to mention the Trojan malware in your phone. Long story short, Mr. SMS had better not work in the bank, especially when PayConfirm has an alternative, reliable solution. It is secure. Transactions are signed on your phone. Nothing is passed between you and the bank, so there is nothing to intercept. PayConfirm employs a code that is linked to the transaction details and timing, client private code, and unique smartphone profile. Even if the con man manages to get the code, they won't be able to use it. All the transaction details are displayed on the screen, so any change reveals itself immediately. It is convenient indeed. You can read through the document and confirm the transaction with one finger. Moreover, PayConfirm is available offline, just in case your phone is out of coverage. So let us use professional tools instead, and leave Mr. SMS to go about his business.